Yo.
Hey, welcome to the new meta, episode 190,
Yes.
season 2, episode 5. We're
Season
going with 5
7.
today. Is it 5?
I have no
I
idea.
keep saying
Yeah,
I'm gonna
gotta
get that.
look.
I'm
Nope.
gonna look at before the next podcast. I'll spend some time and figure that out for real. For
Yeah.
real. Somebody in chat can tell us maybe.
Yeah.
I think it's 5.
We debated like, should we do this one today? I was like, yeah, I feel like we should because we got season 1 stuff to talk about. We haven't talked about it at all. And then
Yeah.
Path of Exile is this week. ExileCon's this weekend.
Yeah, we were talking about just maybe doing the episode next week instead.
Yeah.
So we had both juice, but then is
Yeah.
it too? It depends. It honestly depends on how much juice PoE gives us.
How
So,
it depends on how much juice, dude. It's gonna be insane. It's
well,
gonna be
knowing
insane.
GGG, it's gonna be insane.
It's
I agree,
absolutely.
but yeah, they could talk about PoE 1 all day, and they only give us a little.
Well,
PoE
it's still
2
even
juice.
that though. Like the league launch is still it's not a small thing. It's like
PoE
I can
1
spend
juice?
30 minutes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Toxic.
No, I'm just kidding. All the PoE haters are gonna
I feel like
stand with me.
yeah. This league is gonna be huge. There's gonna be some massive.
This is a big
endgame thing.
opportunity. This is a really big opportunity, I think, for this league to shine for PoE because if they can, I think I think Diablo kind of tapped the new market with ARPGs, right? And I think there's a big community of content creators and players out there that this new community of ARPG newbies are going to look at and say like, oh, I've never seen, they look at the top of Twitch directory, they see Quinn up there, they're watching Quinn. Oh, he's playing Diablo. I like this guy. Then season 1 of PoE is going to launch. They're going to say, oh, Quinn's playing PoE. Oh, this looks like Diablo 4 a little bit. It's ARPG. Let's go check it out. I think this is a big opportunity, man. If they drop a huge season, they could pick up some new players and then scare them away with their complexity. But they could pick up some new players and, steal some thunder from D4 right now. I think it's in a spot they could do that.
Totally, I 100% agree. I also think though it might be like more pigeonholed into like Twitch viewers, like the people that were on Twitch that maybe never played ARPGs. Like they're definitely gonna know about PoE. Like everyone that was big in the Diablo directory is gonna check out, ExileCon and what's coming in at Path of Exile. So I think that like that's huge for GGG. But there's still that huge part of the market of Diablo that's like they don't get on Twitch. I don't even know if they barely have internet because they need to play Diablo 4, but like they're playing couch co-op
they're pissed off. They have to have an online connection to play. They're like, I don't have internet. I gotta.
Yeah. So like, there's a huge chunk of people out there that like I don't think they would ever know.
You're not wrong.
No.
I think it would be a huge leap to go from D4 to PoE though. Just the complexity alone. Yeah. I mean, I would.
Yeah, it's like going the console game to a PC game. Like it's a big jump.
D4 is maybe D4 as complex as D3?
No, I think D3 is actually more in the current state.
I agree. I think D3 is a more complex game than D4, and that blows my mind. I can't believe that it actually launched that way.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they should have picked a middle ground between D3 or D4 or D3 and PoE.
I do have hope though, so I can't sit here and be like how could this ever happen? I do feel like they were probably pushed to rush this thing out, as you and I have discussed 100 times. So
I agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
But hopefully,
I have
6 months
I
from
have
now.
hope too. I have hope too. I think by season 6 or 7, the game will probably be pretty good.
It's like 2 years
away.
Being
toxic. No, I'm not being toxic at all. I'm being serious. I think they need a couple seasons that can carry over to endgame content, that can be a permanent fixture in the game. Get some itemization, some tweaking under their belt, get this live service stuff back under their belt, and then they can, it'll probably be good. It's got a good skeleton. It's got a good framework.
Yeah, but just like D3 did.
Yeah. Just needs that expansion.
I sort of like, I think that, Diablo did this wrong, right? Like, I think that this season 1 came way too fast.
I agree.
For the majority of players that like have barely finished campaign.
My brother is a filthy casual. He had a baby recently, and he got D4 when it dropped. He just finished the campaign right as season 1 started. So that's my timeline for a filthy casual. Him and his buddies.
Right.
all finished the campaign roughly like a week, but maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks before the season starts.
Well, at least they did that, you know.
Yeah. So, but again, he's not trying to rush it. He's, just had his kid's like 5 weeks old, 6 weeks old, so he doesn't have a lot of time to play right now.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show that there is a whole other side of the community that, so for us that finished the campaign on the first day or second day, whatever it was, there are a lot of people that didn't. So the season did come pretty quick for those people.
I do feel like season 1 will become the season of like game balance, because like there's no leaderboards. I don't think they're going to give a shit about mid patches. We already know there's a big patch coming, not this Friday, but next Friday. It's going to change a whole bunch of stuff, and they've actually been like pretty proactive, I feel like, in like the Discord server for like finding things to work on. So I think that there's some promise there.
I feel like, so we'll get into this later, but I feel like the backlash from the patch, the 1.10a patch, is it A? I don't know.
I think so.
I think the backlash from that patch really opened their eyes and ears a little bit. I don't think that they expected that reception, which
we're gonna have a lot to talk about this patch. Then let's just maybe we should just dive. We should just go.
You want to do it? Do we hit the poll? Let's hit the poll.
The poll. All right. So new meta podcast question from last podcast. What is your excitement level for the upcoming season of the Malignant in Diablo 4? Option 1, oh my god, poggers. Option 2, excited but wanted more. Option 3, meh. Option 4, dog shit is. And coming at 52% of the vote is excited but wanted more, with 32% vote saying meh. And then, only 7.7% of the vote says poggers, which is the exact same percentage of people that said dog shit is. So that's pretty alarming.
Yeah.
And then the poll for next week, we'll go ahead and tweet that out now.
He means X that out? He's going to X that out?
Yeah, I'll X. Yeah. How are you feeling about season 1 of Diablo 4, Season of the Malignant? Option 1, oh my god, poggers. Option 2, man, one and more. Option 3, maybe after the next patch. Option 4, dog shit is. I'm gonna post that for you guys.
On the old X
website.
The old X. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, Twitter rebranded the X, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. I thought it was a meme. It
still might be a meme, because it's still twitter.com and you still tweet, but there's an X in the top right, and the logo is now an X. I was literally struggling to find oh my god, where'd my Twitter go? Because I was looking for the bird.
Yeah, the icon changed. Yeah, I wonder if you go to xtwitter.com if that pulls up something else.
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay. All right. So let's rewind. We had the announcement of the season. We had a pod talking about that. Then they released patch 1.1.0a patch notes.
1.1a. Okay, yeah. Okay.
So these patch notes came out.
Yeah.
And do you want to? I mean, I don't think we should read the patch notes, but you can hide some of the highlights if you want, or you want to just jump into what we thought of.
Yeah, I mean, like a quick overview is obviously, they added aspects, 6 new unique items for each class. I can only touch on the Necromancer here because it's basically all I played since launch. But Lidless Wall is pretty cool. I thought that was a win. Again, I can't speak for other classes. They added new legendary aspects. And again, for me, the Necromancer got the Gore Quill, which was a really poggers item, I feel like, and actually kind of big brain for Blizzard. I was really impressed with that one. And then a whole bunch of bug pays, obviously, and all that stuff. And then some patches that sort of blanketed DPS nerfs sort of across the board. They nerfed how much vulnerability damage you can get. They nerfed how much defense you can get. But I mean, really, in an effort to me to sort of adjust the power of the game, and this comes from a place of a Necromancer again. Like Necromancer, the Bone Spear got nerfed by, I would say, 35-40% overall. But immediately upon logging after the patch, like it's still fucking god tier. So it's like, I don't know. I felt like people freaked out. And again, this only comes from a necro perspective. Like, I'm sorry if you're a sorcerer. I know that they have probably had the worst time.
Let me tell you about the sorcerer perspective as somebody who played a sorcerer.
Yeah.
It was huge. It was like, yeah, it just didn't feel good. Power was down, survivability was down, cooldowns took forever. I felt like the experience was worse in every single way possible that you could imagine.
I do feel like one of the big gripes about this season was the hearts replacing the armor, and I thought that they were reactive to that. Like, all the hearts give armor. So like that was like the defense concern was like gone, but yeah, I guess like the hits. I don't know specifically what got changed for the sorcerer that made people freak out so much. I mean, is it just the fact that they were blanket nerfs, or was there like certain? I guess there was an interaction with their cold build that like was bugged or something like that.
Yeah, so they nerfed. Well, the cooldown reduction. I mean, it's just exactly what it is. You can't use your skills as much. You need your skills. You need your teleports. You need your novas. You need all your stuff to interact. Your damage went down. I guess, like you said, there was a bug they fixed because we were doing too much damage. I don't know, but it felt kind of like balanced in that. And then I would also say I don't feel like sorcerer was top tier to begin with. Before the patch, I don't think they were the best class either. So when you get hit by the nerf stick the hardest, I think Barb's got it pretty good too, but you're just doing significantly less damage. Your survivability was down. Like, just everything. You're getting killed. You're CC'd to death. You can't do damage. Your cooldowns, it feels like you're waiting forever for your novas to come back up or teleport to come back up. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't spend a lot of time playing it. I just ran a couple nightmares, and I was like, this feels bad. This isn't what I remember. And the season was coming out anyway, so I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and see, I wish maybe we had more perspective here, because again, my entire perspectives come from Necro, and so Necro Bone Spear got nerfed, which I feel like was 100% deserving. I also love that I don't love that they sort of made this nerf to crit damage and vulnerable damage in the sense that like they just scaled them back. I don't think that that's the play, but they also touched on that in the Fireside chat that like, oh, we can't just move it to the additive pool, even though it's like, why not? I don't know. It's just numbers. But yeah, but the other stuff, like literally every build that I've made, right? Like, so like the Blood Lance, the Minion build, the Shadowmancer, like all of those got buffed. So like for me, it felt like it's this fantastic patch. And so, I was sort of in my own little bubble of like, wow, these are really great changes. And then people keep coming in the chat and being like, my build's dead. But I also don't know how much truth there is to it because I haven't played those other things. So,
right.
I mean, I know people are like, numbers down, Blizzard bad, but
yeah, I can see the point if you don't feel Necromancer was hit that hard. I also understand what Blizzard's trying to do, and I think that comes from our ARPG experience of playing Diablo 3 and anything else. We don't want Diablo 4 to become Diablo 3, where by season 2 or 3, we're running around maxing out whatever the cap is for hell, for Nightmare Dungeons and
right,
and just blasting the game. They need that challenge. I think that Diablo 3 was in a better spot in the early seasons when you were pushing a greater Rift 50. It was like god tier, right?
And we didn't even know the cap back then.
Yeah. And so I think things like that are good for the game. I think it's good to have those unknowns and to not be able to do that. So this balance patch was trying to get that in line. The problem that Blizzard made is it's a lot easier to give stuff than to take stuff away. So if they would have launched the game in a state where we felt underpowered, we wouldn't know we feel underpowered. We would just think that's how it is.
Yeah.
And then you can creep it up. But when you start us powerful and then take it away, people don't do that. That never goes over well in any game ever. I've never seen nerfs make people excited to play. I've only seen buffs happen. So, and it kind of sucks that they didn't get that telemetry in the PTRs, because when we played PTRs, they level capped us at 25. And I know that they had closed beta testers, obviously from all the YouTube footage that dropped day one.
Yeah.
That got to play that and got
Not even day one, like day -2 or something.
Yeah, like little dig there. That was a subtle dig.
Yeah.
But those guys were already doing 100s. I remember seeing footage like day 0.
Yeah, we had one of Rob doing a whirlwind barb. Yeah.
How to do a 100, and it's like you already had people capping your quote unquote greater rift system in the beta. Like, why? That stuff should have been addressed, I think, prior to launch, and been nerfed down. That way, you got to leave headroom, but they didn't leave any headroom.
Well, that's sort of, it's interesting you bring that up, and maybe we should save this for the next section, but apparently their intention was never for Nightmare Dungeons to be the Greater Rift system. But we'll talk about that maybe in the next part.
What was the design then? Because that's kind of...
Yeah, well, we'll get into that. They kind of made it clear but vague. So
yeah. So anyway, back to the patches though. Yeah. What else did we have on here? There are a lot of bugs that got fixed.
Yeah.
Co-op stuff, a lot of dungeon balancing. What else did we have?
They moved like the stat specific stuff to like all classes, so now Necro can get like lucky hit on barrier.
Yeah, that's a good change. That's great.
Main stat got nerfed.
I should have made some highlights on this.
I think that I do think that the cooldown reduction nerf was sort of strange because like you're still gonna run cooldown reduction.
You have to know it's the most powerful stat ever when you put it on gear in the first place. Right. Like if you've played an ARPG, cooldown reduction is always like the best.
Yeah, literally.
You can use. Who doesn't want to use your abilities more?
Right.
Like, that's it. It's like, do you have abilities? Yes. Do you like to use them? Yes. Would you like to use them more? Yes.
Yeah.
Like cooldown reduction. Like yeah, please. I don't know. So
I think that there's something to that too. Like Lost Ark. Like there's no blanket. I mean, maybe there is now, but at the time I played it in Korea, like there's no blanket like cooldown reduction stat. There's like ways you can spec your skills to get like lower cooldown and stuff like that, but you don't just get like, of course, in a cooldown based game, one of the like maybe the best stat is going to be like, well, casting my skills more, of course. So like that was surprising to see. That
just goes back to if they should have copied Lost Ark's combat system,
of course,
and then this would be the best game ever.
Right. Well. Let's calm down on that statement.
You're right. Sorry. Just kidding. But it would be lots better though.
Yeah, I mean, like those are the big notes. Like the vulnerable damage was reduced, the crit strike damage was reduced. That hurt everybody across the board. The cooldown was reduced. A lot of the damage reduction things were reduced.
Dynamic loading screens were introduced in this patch. Oh my goodness.
Well, I think that was a smart play from a selling.
I do cosmetic.
Yeah, cosmetic. I get it. I don't see anything wrong with that. And we'll get into
the world tier. Some of the big changes they added. They adjusted the world tiers.
Yeah, the level requirements and stuff.
Yeah, they put level requirements, which then
they reverted.
We'll talk about. They reverted.
Yeah.
But they changed the bonus gold. They changed the experience. Did they change experience too?
Yeah, so it used to be like +3 Nightmare Dungeons was like all the bonus XP you could get, and now it's +10. Yeah.
So it seems like they took a shot at nerfing power leveling, is what it seemed like.
Oh yeah, power leveling is done, 100%.
Yeah, and it's like as a D3 player, I don't think I like that. It's not like you could power level to 100. I mean, I guess you could, but it's still a chore. But they completely killed it, and they even killed it through up to 50. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I like him. I really hate.
You like power leveling, or you hate power leveling?
I hate power leveling, so I like the nerf to power leveling.
Okay.
You can still
I think I'm on the opposite side.
Yeah.
I think I come from a place where I played a lot of Diablo 3 with community, and it was always a thing. Oh, you want... Okay, I've invested the season. I did the season at the launch. I leveled my character. Now I want a monk. Boom, I have a monk in like 10 minutes. That's fine.
Yeah, but you don't know anything about the goddamn monk. I think that the point here, if we're in season 15 of Diablo 4, yeah, my mind's going to be different. Just like it would have been in Diablo 3. Like, I don't want to level Necro to 70 again. Like, leveling, especially in Diablo 3, was a not fun experience. I think leveling in this...
D4 is not fun.
It's fine, but like you're learning your character, you're learning all this stuff. I think we're too early in the game's... like sort of lineage to be like, oh yeah, we should just be able to power level character.
I can agree with that point. I don't think you're wrong there. I personally would like to have all the alts and be able to play them whenever I choose. But you're not wrong in that I do think that there is a time and place for that, and at the beginning of the game's history is not the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm with you. But so they did that. They nerfed or redesigned party experience and how that kind of works. Helltides
But they
got
still didn't.
changed,
I hate that they still
kinda.
didn't fix the party, like how experience works in general. Like you can still like sort of split farm a dungeon. There's a thing now where you can split farm renown. If you guys didn't know that, so you get 40 renown for finishing a dungeon you've never done before. But if you party up with people and everyone goes and runs their own dungeon, like everyone gets credit for the renown. So you get like renown like that, which is so.
I did that in no season. We did that in the thing. Like that's been around.
Has it been around?
It's been we did that. We did that in like the first weekend of D4 launch. We figured that out. I was in a group. I was standing in town, and somebody did a dungeon, and I was like, "Holy shit! Did I get credit for that?" And I was like, "Yep, I just got credit for your dungeon."
Wow.
So it started off as a thing of we were just to knock out all the dungeons and get the aspects. We had 4 people and we split farm dungeons, and then later on we realized that we're getting renown for this too. Like it was like a whole thing. So it's still I'm glad it's still there because I hate going and doing all the dungeons, but I don't like the renown farm. I don't think it should exist. It's just like giving away bounty boxes in Diablo 3. Like that's the equivalent to me. It's like you didn't run any of the bounties, but you can log in and join somebody's game and get the bounty box. That doesn't make sense.
But are you saying the renown system in general or just
no the renown system being able to split farm is like bounty boxes to me.
I agree.
It shouldn't exist. I'm glad that it does because I have buddies to play with and can take advantage of it, but it shouldn't exist. The renown system in general, I'm not a huge fan of. It's okay in its conception, but I think as a seasonal event, I think every season having to go run every dungeon and try to unlock the renown and get the paragon points in that doesn't sound appealing to me.
Yeah.
So it wasn't appealing the first time I did it before season launched. Now that season's launched, it's definitely less appealing even than it was then. And I can imagine every season becoming more of a, man, gotta go do this thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, like, especially now that, so we had, like, season journeys are back on the board, right? And we'll get to those in a minute. But, like, going through that and, like, having something to progress, like, I do actually like that. But this whole idea of renown, where it's basically a static, it will never change, a static, like, seasonal journey. That's just, it's not fun. So like I don't know what they're gonna do or what they need to do about that, but yeah, renown.
I don't even like how
fun.
It progresses. There are ways that they could tweak it slightly in the season. If they don't want to do this non-season, I kind of get it, but who cares about non-season anyways?
Yeah.
Like at this point, season's out. I don't care what they do with non-season. I'll never play non-season. So if let's just say that killing a monster gave you the rep is so little now, so they need to add more, like change the multiplier. So let's say instead of 500 renown to max the thing out, it's now 50,000. Okay. And then doing a dungeon gives you 200 now or whatever, 2,000 instead of. But killing a mob, an NPC in dry steppes gives you dry step renown. If I'm out in the world and I'm slaying a bunch of monsters, let it give me 1 renown, and a boss and elite 5 renown or 10 renown. That way, if I don't want to sit there and go run every dungeon, eventually passively just doing my world tree, just doing whatever I'm doing, I can get my renown bar eventually filled up. And so it may be one of those things where you're like, well, I need to do dry step stuff. Oh, Helltide's in dry steps? Cool. I'll go do Helltide, kill monsters, open bounty boxes, whatever, and get some renown. But the way it sits now is like if I don't do side quests or I don't go do dungeons I've never done, the bar just sits there. Doesn't move. So I don't like that system.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they want to keep this renown system, like first time completing a dungeon, all that. Like dungeons is something that you sort of do and that it sort of works. I think maybe like the first time you experience X event in zone Y, like maybe that should give them an XP. And I think that like your idea with like just killing monsters should just give like that renown juice. I guess it's down. I'm down with that. It's more like a World of Warcraft system, I guess, in that sense.
It is in that sense, yeah. But I don't think it's a great system. But I think it's better than what we have.
Better.
Yeah.
But I think this is one of the things I was talking about on stream the other day. Like, there's 2 big misses alone with Renown that I can't even imagine being in the room for. One is that their literal original intent with Altars of Lilith was that would be something you would refarm. Like, and people thought that would be fucking fun. Like, that is super concerning to me.
Yeah.
And two, I would have budget cut. Like, I would have come in at D4 day one and been like, well, what are you guys working on? Oh, quests? Oh, quests are literally always going to be the same for the rest of Diablo 4's life. Like, you thought that would be fun to refarm quests like season after season, and that gives you not like you're doing these same quests. Nothing's changing. Yeah. Like, that's a horrible waste of dev time to make these fucking quests. Like,
well, that's coming from a guy who hates campaign.
Sure, but like, if you love story, like you're gonna want to play the same.
I agree
story?
with you. I'm not saying you're wrong. And I'm on your side of this argument. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate and look at maybe the casuals who do enjoy this. I call them cat. If you enjoyed the story, you're a casual. Sorry to insult you guys like that, but yeah, I do agree with that. I think that it seems like either the game was rushed and the end game time didn't happen that they were going to do, or they just invested too much resources in the leveling experience. I do think that for a brand new player, level 1 to 50 is a pretty good experience. Mm-hmm. You get to play the campaign, you're discovering the new systems. There's no complexity, so it's not like it's hard to grasp any of the concepts of the gear and the loot and how it works and your talents and all that kind of stuff. It's all pretty intuitive. But I felt where it dropped short was after you finish the campaign, then what? Like, where are the concepts? Where are the ideas? Where is the development time in your end game activities that keep you playing? That's the biggest miss. Like, it's non-existent to me. So, and the campaign to me is only fun once. I actually tried to play the campaign a second time when I made my before seasons launch. I made a barb, and I tried to play through the campaign, and I got, I don't know, man, like somewhere in chapter 2, halfway through chapter 2, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Skip campaign, and just went to the end. So
yeah.
Helltide
got nerfed.
Got super nerfed.
The mysterious chest from 175 to 250.
Yeah. I think Helltides were actually, so like I jumped in World Tier 4 Helltides at level 60, 59, 60, I don't know, super low, right? On my sorceress, and they were fun when everything was almost one-shotting me. Like it definitely had this different feel of like, damn, I don't want to die and lose half my shards. So I was like mowing stuff down, playing careful, getting one shot by the volcanoes while I'm climbing up obstacles, things like that, And it was interesting. It only becomes, I think Helltides only became a little bit more monotonous once you were able to just absolutely decimate them. So it would be cool to see. I don't know how they fix that without adding like a World Tier 5, but then that's just going to be the same. Like I don't know how you could make Helltides accessible to all player ranges, but yet still have it challenging for endgame people. But if there's a way to maybe have specific zones inside the Helltide where the monster levels are significantly harder, tougher, denser,
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be cool. It was definitely more fun when it was challenging. So I don't think that nerfing the box costs does anything. Like what does that really do?
Yeah, it just keeps you in Helltide longer, basically.
Yeah, that doesn't help. It doesn't make it feel better to me. Mm-mm. It doesn't make me go, oh, this activity's more fun now. I have to farm more. It doesn't make it a better activity from those changes.
It makes it a worse activity because
I agree. Yeah.
It sort of unveils how really truly redundant Helltides are, because like you're running back and forth between two events that spawn, and now you just do it longer, and so it's sort of like it sort of showcases like how really unpolished Helltides are.
I didn't look if there was some kind of Helltide metas or ways to min-max your Helltide time, but that's what I did. Is I found an event that would respawn really quickly, and I just hovered around that event. So I'd do the event.
That's all it is.
Yeah, I would do the event and then run around that area and smoke everything else until the event started back up. And
Which is nice. Like I do like that idea of like, okay, well, you want to farm events. I hate that in Diablo 4. I think one of the big misses in Diablo 4 is that the events are so static. Like I feel like an event should be something like, okay, I'm going into Helltide, I'm gonna like clear mobs, and like you said, like maybe they're a little bit more challenging than normal, and that feels good. But then I come across an event and it's like, wow, I don't know, this doesn't normally happen, and so like it's exciting, and but just going to like, oh, there's dots on the map, you know exactly where they spawn, and like hopefully it's there. Oh, it's not. Let's go on to the next one. Oh, this one's not here. Let's go on to the next one. Oh, that one's
some kind of chaotic Helltide world boss would be cool too.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it has to be a Shava big, but like you could put like the big elite that runs around the PvP zone or something like that.
They have those for Helltide.
I know they have them, but they're not. They're not dangerous, so to say. Like we killed the World Tier 4 one. We killed it at like 60 something. Yeah. You know what I mean? And even though it was like level 75 or 90, I don't remember what it was. But it would be cool to have that, but maybe put a little bit more scripting into it, a little bit more boss mechanics, and make it even chaotic-ish to where it like one-shots people. Like, put some really hard mechanics that are super quick timing to dodge, or I don't know. There could be some things that they add to Helltides to make them a little bit more entertaining. But all in all, I think Helltide's a good start of a system. It's a thing, but it just needs some iteration. I don't think changing the cinders was beneficial at all.
I agree.
And then you have balance stuff. So
the balance stuff, but I mean I can only touch on the necro stuff, unfortunately. And again,
it's just nerfs. I mean, if you look at it, it's literally nothing but nerfs for every class. I think I don't know. I looked at sorceress and barb, sorcerer and barb quite a bit, and everything was a nerf. I mean, there was like trying to think of a single buff. I don't think there was any. Yeah. So I'm looking at the notes now. I don't think there was a single buff, which is crazy. So I would
go ahead.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen some rebalance in this. I would have liked to have seen
for necro. So
okay.
Yeah, I mean, again, I wish I knew all the classes as well as I know necro, but necro was 100% for me 2 thumbs up changes. So I don't know. It's tough.
Like they enhance spark damage. They enhance frozen orb damage. But I still don't think so. I'm like looking over some of these notes for sorcerer. I don't think that it makes it viable though. Like, so frozen orb went from 20 to 30% enchantment chance to be cast.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so that's your class ability. But is that enough to like make you use it? I don't think so. I don't know. I haven't looked into the new sorceress builds since. So maybe there's some new stuff that's come out. But I don't know. It just, there wasn't anything. Like mana threshold for Hydra reduced from 300 to 200. I guess that's a buff too, but that's still such a shitty enchant. So,
yeah, I think that, and then we'll get to more of this in maybe the dev talk, but
yeah,
like sort of buffing stuff that is just like in need of rework is obviously not a solution. Like, there's some things even in Necro, it's like initiates decompose slow from increase from 30 to 50%. Like, it's decompose is still shit fucking skill. It doesn't matter how much.
You're still not
slow.
using it, right? Yeah, that's kind of the same. That's kind of the thing. It's like, reduce mana cost for the free,
right,
firewall to 200. Like, well, you're still not using that shit, so it doesn't matter. You can make it 2, and I'm still not using it. And then you get to the wall of like nerfs, physical damage, fire damage, cold damage. Like, it's just it's like this is your damage is going up, boys. Is basically what.
But
that
I
means.
was like, again, even if I wasn't playing necro, I guess I don't really understand the outrage, because you and
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you feel it. It's just the fact that it just looks bad on paper.
Sure, but what we touched on earlier, like maybe because we're ARPG Andes, right? And so you and I both agree that at this state in the game, or that we shouldn't be like farming Nightmare 100s. Like, we should be so far from that.
Yeah,
like, we were way too strong. As a whole, everyone was way too strong for season or vanilla Diablo 4. So
and they even set the precedent of this is a brutal game. Like, if you rewind all the way back to BlizzCon 19, they talked about how desolate and everything is just dire, and you're lonely and ravaged and all this, and then you come in and you're powerful as hell. It's like, oh. I wasn't expecting that kind of power
I
out of
agree.
the gate. So I personally didn't expect it. There's a lot of things that change there, but with my expectations, but that wasn't one of them. So I get that, but I think if you look at this on paper, and this is how people see it, is they
Right.
just see the nerfs, right? So if you go into work today, and they're saying, let's say they're like, okay, Fluff, you know, you're making $1 million a year. That's way more than you need to make. But so we're going to reduce your salary by 25%. Now you're making 750K. And you're still like, that's a lot of money. That's still making a lot of money. But you still took a hit.
But it's also
feels
my
bad.
job, and it's like if it's their vision, like if it doesn't interfere with the vision or the vision is good, that's all that matters. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. That's a hard comparison to make.
It is that's a apples to oranges kind of comparison. But I think what I'm saying is it's the optics of it, the optics of all these things.
Sure.
And I think this is something that we're going to talk about specifically, because I know I've heard you say it as well, but I felt the same thing. Is they didn't set this up properly. Like they have developer notes, right? But I don't think they did a good job of explaining what the vision is for the game and how this was steering them in the wrong path.
Yeah.
Right. And I think if they would have explained it in that kind of sense, if said, hey, our overarching vision for D4 is this. And I think we kind of launched ourselves in a trajectory that's not going to hit that marker. And so we're trying to steer course. And so there's going to be some adjustments made and stuff like that. And I don't think they did a good job of delivering that message.
Yeah. I have a whole bunch to say on that in the dev talk fireside thing section.
I don't think that's would have saved the outcry, but it definitely, I think, could have helped.
Sure.
So
but moving on. So the season Malignant, obviously, it came out. The season itself, the seasonal mechanic. I assume that you've tried it, you've tested it, you've played it. So what are your thoughts so far? So you got the actual hearts, the Malignant hearts.
Yeah, we got legendary gems. I mean hearts.
Yeah.
They're kind of cool. The legendary gem system from the heart system from Diablo 4 is interesting. No, man. So to be honest, I did something. So I didn't start at season launch. I'm gonna harp on this one last time, and then I'll drop it. Launching on a Thursday early afternoon is absolutely the worst launch season time place ever. I can't think of. It blows my mind how D3 can nail it so good, and then the D4 team can just miss the mark. I don't understand that. So it sucked. It launched on Thursday. I'm working. I thought about logging in and playing a little bit, and then I was like, nah. And then Thursday night rolled around, and you were already on playing, and I was just like, it was a staggered release for myself, my friends, even streamers. Like you're looking and. So it missed the mark with the hype, the launch hype, the counter, like something about that New Year's Eve ball drop is awesome with this season, and they missed that. So I didn't play Thursday. I don't think I even played for the first week even. I watched you play Friday night. I tuned in, I think Thursday night, Friday night. I can't remember now.
Okay.
But I watched for a little bit and just, kind of like, oh, is this worth my time jumping in? And from what I saw, I was like, not really. I don't think this is worth it. So then I eventually got bored over the weekend, and I was like, all right, let me go ahead and jump in. And so I hopped on. I decided to make a druid instead of a sorceress, because sorceress I felt in a bad spot. Plus I had already played it. So I was like, let me try something new. I played a shred druid, which was pretty fun, actually. I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed it a little bit. You didn't notice the nerfs. I didn't notice the damage nerf. I didn't notice any damage intake nerfs because it was a class that I hadn't played. So I don't know what it was supposed to feel like.
Yeah.
So to me, that felt fine. And compared to my sorceress, the druid is so ridiculously tanky. It was pretty crazy. I could almost AFK bosses on the druid and just face tank mechanics that you couldn't do. My sorceress, you'd be one shot. So it was interesting. As far as the seasonal mechanics, I think the seasonal questing, it was okay. It wasn't as good as I kind of hoped it would be. The video started good. The first quest I think was voiced good. I think towards some of the later quests, the voice acting got a little cheesy. Dialogue got a little cheesy. It was like, go do these quests, now complete your seasonal journey. So they time gated the quests in a way through the seasonal journey that was obvious to me personally. I was like, oh, they're just time gating the quest. They must not have a lot of quests, so they're time gating them through making you do the seasonal journey, which is like, go run 5 dungeons in Hawazar. Okay. And then
I thought that was fine, honestly.
It was okay. I don't think it was bad, but it just felt like an obvious time gate to me.
Yeah.
And it's like the only other game that I really like, there are other games that do this, but the game that it really stood out to me and in my mind, it drew comparisons was Final Fantasy VII, the remaster. Remember when you hit the town in FF7 and the remake or whatever it was called? And then they had all the quests in that town that you could go run around and do that really had no purpose. It was just a time sink. They're like, oh, you complete the whole campaign in 19 hours. Quick, guys, make 12 hours of side quests. That's kind of what I felt like with this season. It was like, okay, we have 10 quests or however many quests there. We have 10 seasonal quests. How can we make it so where somebody doesn't do all these in 35 minutes? Let's time gate it with the seasonal journey.
Sure.
I'm like, okay. So not the worst system. Seasonal journey felt very Diablo 3.
Yeah.
Like, okay, pull your list up. What I need to do, check off the box. And then the hearts themselves, I think some classes are way cooler than others. I don't think the druid ones are that cool, personally. So, but they definitely add power. The seasonal aspects give a lot of power. There's one like where your poison ability, I forget what it's called. I'm going to call it Poison Nova. That's not it. That's a necro skill. But your poison shroud or thing that roots and poisons everyone, it does the upheaval. That's kind of cool. Like, it's a cool little twist.
Yeah. You talked about a lot just now. So to circle back, I think that the seasonal quest line, I didn't mind the time. That's exactly what I expected of it, and I was sort of fine with it. I thought it played okay. I thought I would be like kind of bored, maybe leveling the Shadowmancer the second time, but honestly, it was, I don't know, because I knew what I was doing, it was fine. I felt like I got my stuff geared super fast. I thought the season journey was good. It sort of had a focus to what you were doing. I liked that it gave you some of the rare aspects, which I think you actually talked about in a previous pod. You wish that something like that was in the game, and so they added it. And that was nice. For like replacing gear so often.
It gave you the aspects, but I don't think that they were rare. I think they're seasonal. Like, I think these are only going to be here for this season, which is kind of cool because then they're gone, right? Yeah. And so I definitely use some of them in the build I'm running now. And so when they're gone, I don't know if it breaks the build, but it definitely changes the build. So I'm okay with that. I like that. So
yeah, and then the hearts themselves, for Necro, like, wow, they're pretty damn good. There's one that triggers a corpse automatically, which I think is fun. Obviously has crazy implications for Joining Essence, or like it's obviously not going to be like a great. I don't think late game is going to be crazy good, but it's still really fun to level with and really fun to try out. The Decrepify aura is just insane. I think that this, like, I don't think many Necros used curses besides for the lucky chance to reduce cooldowns. I don't think anyone used the other curse, probably for the damage reflection or whatever it is, the damage. But I think that this shows Blizz that like curses are cool, but only if there's an aura. Like, so I don't know.
Yeah. I didn't like curses in Diablo 3 either, though.
Me neither.
But you used them, and I didn't like using the auras in Diablo 3 because they had a smaller radius.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So I always went with the curse over the aura because, well, I can click the button. That's fine. But it was, aura was just my lazy mode builds. But yeah, I agree. If they make the aura, like, take up the whole screen, please. Something. Like,
I think the aura is fine as the sort of smaller
I haven't
thing.
used it in D4, so.
But yeah, but no one wants to fuck. I don't know. I have a lot to say, but that's more of like a necromancer complaint. It's just like, curses are
I didn't
stupid.
look, so I haven't seen other classes. Did you? And I don't know if this is druid specific or if this is a general all class. I don't know how that works because I only play druid. But There's one for Druid that is literally Convention of Elements rethought.
That's Wrathful. So those are all class.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's weird to me because it's like, it's not even like a COE because it's like a 20 kill cycle, which is sort of weird. So you can control it, which is nice, but at the same time, like one of the effects, that's my biggest complaint, is like every 21 seconds you get a barrier that gives like shit damage reduction. Like that is
that's
awful.
garbage. But then every 20 kills you get the one that gives you full resource. So like as a druid, so shred is my core ability, and it uses up my spirit. So if I'm gonna go fight a boss, I've literally done this. I've played around that mechanic to get it to where I'm on the regen refill version when I go fight the boss, and then I can just spam my core ability because it refills every time, and it's like I can shit all over the boss. The power of that, at least for my build, the power of that one cycle tremendously outweighs the other two, and it 100% reminded me of Convention of Elements in D3, where your build is frost. Okay, cold cycle, you're pumping. The other cycles don't matter, and that's kind of what it felt like. It was like it doesn't matter. And then, okay, I'm going to fight a boss soon. Let me line this thing up to where I'm going to be in the right cycle as I go in the boss room. Didn't feel good, but at the same time, it's like, okay, there could have been a lot worse things that they did with it. But it really was just a Convention of Elements rework, in my opinion.
Yeah. So. Yeah, not a good effect. I did like the Creeping Death one that was increased damage for each CC effect you have on a target. I'm still using that currently. I think it's sort of a fun way to scale dot damage. But I think more than anything, this just points out how like the game isn't really favoring dot builds in the current state of the game, because it's crit and vulnerable. Like that's all people care about. So this is a nice like band-aid for something that probably already exists. Like dots just need to be better. And then what everyone's using right now is sort of the meta, which is the Barber. So the Barber basically makes critical strikes and all subsequent damage within 2 to 4 seconds is absorbed, and that target erupts, damaging surrounding enemies. So it's basically like Exploding Palm from Diablo 3 from the Monk. And that is really, really good. So really, if you just survive for the subsequent damage duration, which, you can stun mobs for like 3 seconds, so it's pretty easy to survive. So the Barber's quite good for all classes. And I don't necessarily love this effect. I don't like the idea of like there being a meta for these malignant powers. Obviously there's always going to be a meta, but like I don't know, with so few hearts to choose from, which would be another complaint, it seems shitty that there's like one
same thing too. And it seems so there's the universal ones, and then there's class specific. I would have been really, really cool to have more class specific. I feel like tripled the number. It would have been nice to have. So the thing is, I don't feel like I had to make a meaningful choice in my class specific powers. Right? It was like, oh, this is really the only ones that I can use in this build, or that are even beneficial, or if I use it all.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, ooh, this is really good. Oh, damn, that's really good too. Which one of these do I want to run? And then I haven't played crazy amounts, so I'll get back to this topic later. But I think the season, to me, the seasonal theme isn't really enough to hook me back in and make me be like, man, I can't wait to play more. It didn't really do that to me. So I think finding the jewelry that I need with the right stats on it, plus the right colored socket to max my gems, at least in my experience so far, has been like, damn, that's some RNG. I mean, that's a reason people play, is to get gear drops. Yeah. So I'm not going to sit here and trash that. But I can also see, like, if you get this really perfectly rolled item and it's got the wrong color socket, there's not a way to fix that, I don't believe, is there?
No, you sort of have to rearrange jewelry or... Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I don't think there's a way. So, like, if you have a perfect neck and a perfect other ring, your third ring, like, unless it has the right color socket, whatever you need, you're jonesing. But that's part of the gear chase, so that could be an okay thing. I'm just, in my experiences, I've already run into scenarios where I'm like, oh, this thing is good, but I have to like take this off and fix this, and then I got to get another heart, and then so.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, for me in my build, it's like unless they're blue, like they're just trash. I can have one color that doesn't matter because of the Wrathful, which is nice.
Right. Yeah.
but the other two like have to be spot on color. And yeah, the Julie chase is already pretty hard in Diablo 4.
Yeah,
so.
I agree. So I feel like that's a big chase, but I'm not gonna criticize that too much because I think that's why we play ARPGs is for the gear chase. So I can live with that. But I think if they would have put a resource in to change jewelry color, whether it's very limited or expensive or something, I think it would have been kind of cool to maybe get like a reroll socket color option.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
I think
it could have been expensive though.
What you bring up right there is sort of my biggest complaint with season 1. Obviously, we wish there were more hearts. I wish there was more things with the season 1. I think this turned out okay-ish. Like, obviously, this is not enough content for 3 months. But I think the biggest disappointment for me was Varshan. So Varshan is the new, unique boss that sort of comes with this season. And I did expect okay, so there's normal Varshan, and then you fight him, and he drops a recipe to fight, a World Tier 3 Varshan, and then he drops a recipe to fight World Tier 4 Varshan, and then the World Tier 4 Varshan, I'm like, oh, he's gonna drop some crazy shit. Like maybe he drops like a recipe to change the colors, or maybe he drops a crafting material to change the colors or something. But he's fucking easy, which sucks. Like it sucks so bad. Like he's easier than like a nightmare dungeon boss. He's just a meat sponge. He like doesn't even hit hard. He's a total joke. The one thing he does do is he drops guaranteed eye level 800 gear. So that's something, but it's not guaranteed ancestral eye level 800 gear. So it could be like normal level 800 gear, which to me is still like a kind of a weird system. Like, why is normal eye level 800 gear even dropping like at level 90?
It feels like, oh, you don't want ancient items. We're just gonna call them ancestral items. It's like because you're in World Tier 4 and you're still getting normal drops, sacred drops, ancestral drops. So it's literally just normal, ancient. And then, I mean, an ancestral isn't really a primal, but it's just like, come on, man. I don't think sacred or ancestral should even exist. Personally, I think it should just be gear, and then have the eye level. It's just the stuff drops at the eye level. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
World Tier 4, higher chance for 800 plus.
Yeah.
I get rid of the ancestral ancient thing is only nice to identify what I need to pick up and what I don't.
Sure. I agree. It's a terrible system.
Terrible system.
Refarming
so I'm with
you already have.
That is a miss, though. They could have made him more difficult or
like a pinnacle boss, like
a pinnacle Uber version, and then make it, if you don't want to just be able to farm him, put it on a thing where you have to farm something else to get his recipe to unlock him or key or whatever.
You have to farm the invokers, so you can't just you can't farm him.
Yeah, I'm saying for the Uber one too, though, right? Like you can still put him in and just make it to where you have to get the thing. But then have him drop some shit. Like give him a unique item, perhaps, that only drops off of him, or I don't know. Yeah, like you're saying, a cube to change a ring color, or a item to change a ring color. Something.
Right, and he pretty much drops like almost one. He drops 1 to 3 guaranteed hearts, and then eye level 800 gear. But again, it's not locked to ancestral. I think Blizzard, it's a good idea to make him drop eye level 800 stuff, because then maybe you want to farm him, but like the fact that it can be not ancestral. I think Blizzard thinks if just because something would be eye level 800 and ancestral that it means it's good, but there's just so much trash stat that you could possibly get.
The trash pool is so
huge,
full of garbage,
which is fine because it's like a gear grind. It's like Path of Exile. Yeah. There's so much trash loot, but yeah, just because something's eye level 800 doesn't mean it's going to be good. And so I think that.
You think they should put loot filters in?
Absolutely, we said this. In season 0,
Yeah, I think at first I was like, no, we don't need loot filters. But then the more I play, the more I'm like, I really hate having to look at this gear. If I could just say my build's pretty complete, I only need these things, these stats, whatever, and then have a loot filter built out, I would do it. I would definitely run that just to not see all the garbage. So.
To me, the one thing that needs to be changed, before, loot filter would be great. It's the weapons. It's really just the weapons that are the big problem, because not an ancestral weapon can drop, and if it's eye level 700, you don't give a shit. But you can't see that until you pick up the item. So I think that but a piece of armor could be great at like 750, 700 if it rolls the perfect stats. That's all you really care about. But a weapon is just like, even it's rolled perfectly, if it's eye level 700, it's gonna lose to an eye level 800. So yeah, that's rough for me that exists. So you have to pick up like all these weapons and none of them are any good. And
then you got it, and you're sitting there looking at them. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's tricks with the inventory,
right? Sort, but you still have to pick it up to know, which sucks.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But yeah, that's sort of it. Okay, so final question here about the season mechanic and season journey and all that stuff. Would you want this to roll over if it were as an option? So in chat, if you guys know what we're talking about, you know, in Diablo 3, sometimes a season mechanic would roll over into, you know, the Eternal Realm is what they're calling it now, but non-season is what it was called before.
So yeah, and the reason Fluff asked this, in case you don't know, is that this would also roll through to season 2.
Yeah, season 2.
So right, because we don't care about the Eternal Realm at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So in season 2, it depends on what kind of juice they give us for season 2, right? I don't think this is a bad thing, but I don't think it's my answer is yes, but it needs work because this brought up our power level a little bit from the nerfs that they hit with.
It brought up 100% from the nerfs, in my opinion.
So like that. This is also why they nerfed right before the patch, is because we're going to get this power. So this counteracted that quite a bit, but so I think you have to tone this down a little bit, provided that season 2 is going to have some kind of power thing. Because if a season thing doesn't have power, I don't think it would be that enjoyable, you know, unless it's some nice end-game content. So I think you have to tone it down, but I would also like to see this expanded on. I want to see more hearts. Like, I really do. I think that the choice is so limited in where it sits now that when they go to do rebalancing, if they keep the system as it is, if they go to do rebalancing, then the few limited hearts that we have are going to pigeonhole the metas that we're going to play, unless those rebalances are significant to where, you know, they're using generic hearts or hearts that aren't tuned for it. So
yeah, I agree. I think for this to be successful as something that would roll over, it would definitely need way more hearts. I think that what this does essentially is points out how, like, I feel like at a certain point in Diablo 3, because of how they've designed this game, how it's basically going to revolve around your legendary aspects, just getting more is going to be what you're after. And so I think that, like, this is just a way of getting 3 more legendary powers, essentially. And especially for somebody like a Necro, where we have fewer gear slots than basically all of the other classes, besides, I think, Sork. Like, it feels less exciting to gear a Necro than it does a Rogue, because you just have more aspects and it's like more exciting to put like a full build together. Whereas Necro, you're sort of locked into like 5 things and that's the only thing you can do. So getting more legendary powers through these hearts is nice. I would not want this season to roll over though, if I'm being honest. I'd rather just see like the curse be added as a legendary aspect. I'd rather see this corpse explosion auto added to an aspect and just delete all these wrathful hearts. Like, they're just too...
Yeah, this would end up causing problems because it would make game balance more difficult, and there aren't enough powers to let you branch out. It's going to pigeonhole you into specific builds. So ultimately, I don't think it's good for the game, but it is something to do at the end game, though. It is an activity, right? It is at least a collection. And I need a whatever heart. Let's go run the thing, throw the key in, get that color. So it's something to do, and the game needs something to do. You know. That being said, it's not great.
That's a good point too. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe as is, don't roll over. But if the plan is to add more hearts, you know, with maybe each season, like, yeah, absolutely, give it to us. You know, keep the Rod Ferguson colonoscopies in the game, and we can run those as part of the end game. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, as it is right now, it's like, ugh, it's kind of meh. It's super meh.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing about it. I think the biggest, you know, winning point of the whole thing is it's another activity to do.
Yeah.
And even though it's not the greatest, it's like, well, I can do Tree, I can do Helltide, I can do Nightmare Dungeons, or I can now go run the Malignant Caves or whatever they're called to go to go get some hearts. You know, at least it's another box to check.
And it's just like someone just says, it's sort of like Abyss wasn't super fun the few leagues following Abyss, but like now it's just something like you got to go get a Stygian Vise, which is like a belt that has a socket, and like the only way to get one is doing Abyss. And so like it's sort of something you have to think about league after league, and it's sort of like that part's fun because it spices it up.
Keep the core mechanic like that, right? Like keep these malignant tunnels, but then you could put the next seasonal theme thing can drop from there, right? So like let's say your seasonal aspects, or I don't know. Hopefully they come up with some cool thing, and it's like, oh yeah, and by the way, if you're trying to target one of these, you can go do malignant tunnels. They have a higher drop chance or something to that effect. But
also the malignant tunnels aren't crazy fun, unfortunately.
No, of course, of course not. But it's still, it's it's like running a dungeon for the tree fun either. Like, I don't know. It just takes me back, like while we were having that conversation in my brain, I'm sitting here thinking about this all kind of goes back to a game design and how we have a legendary power on every single slot. And this is something that we talked about in 2019. Is like, are we going to be full legendaried out? And I think I thought I remember them saying no. Like you're going to use yellows and blues.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. Like that's awesome to me, because in my mind, what that means we're going to have awesome skills that are going to give our player power. Our player power is going to come from our talent tree choices and our skill design. And then the legendaries will expand upon that choice that we already made. But that's not what happened. Like I'd have to go back and watch, but I think they said no. But now what do we have? We literally have a legendary in every single slot.
Yeah.
And at this point, it's like, well, if I'm going to have legendary in every slot, you might as well just give me a set. Like, give me sets. Let me get set bonuses and stuff too then, which we'll probably hit that season 2, but just,
Yeah, I thought that was wild. They went back on so many things. They said no incest, no ancient items, and they like went back on that. They said we're going to use like blues. Like blues will be actually something you might want to invest in.
I actually thought about that when the game launched. I remember thinking about that conversation, and I thought there's got to be a use for these blues, right? And I even asked you, I think, on one of the pods. I'm like, have you found a use for blue items? Like, there's got to be something in the game where they're used for, right? And there's not. Like, they exist only from level 1 to 20 just as gear, and then as
just
mats.
like D3, literally just like D3.
It's like, why? Like, you can't upgrade it to it. I can't find a blue that's got good stats on it and say, oh, okay, I'm gonna make this a yellow and just take a risk at a roll, and hopefully I'll get 2 other stats I need that are good too, right? Like, there's no. That's like the basic level crafting, and it doesn't exist. Like, I don't understand. I don't know how hard that would be to put in, but it's like, at least, okay, I found a bracer that's got vuln damage and crit damage. Dude, that's really good. If I could upgrade this to a yellow, maybe I'll roll a whatever. Yeah. Maybe I'll roll cold damage too, or whatever I want. But you can't.
Right.
And it's like, that's so basic.
I agree.
I don't understand.
But yeah,
console. I guess PS5 couldn't handle it, so
right. I want to sort of jump ahead here because we're sort of talking about the seasonal theme so in depth and the patch and stuff like that. So they had a fireside chat. Did you watch this last Friday?
The one about the patch notes?
Yes.
Yeah, I did. I did watch it actually. I was extremely excited to watch because I was wondering how they were going to weather that storm.
Oh, okay.
So. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I thought that, before we dive into what they talked about, I didn't like that they came out and basically were like, in a sense, they were apologizing.
Yeah, there was no sense. They straight up, we're sorry. I think they even said it.
Yeah, they said, we're sorry. And then they said, like, don't ever expect a patch like this again. We'll never do this again.
They should not have used the absolutes.
Yeah,
either,
never. So I think twofold. Like, one, never promise never to do something again. If the game needs a huge nerf again, fucking do it, right? I think that Path of Exile, one of Path of Exile's strength is that, like, hey, here's the changes that we're making. Here's why we made them. Here's the vision that we're thinking in our heads. And so fucking deal with it. And I hate that Blizzard came
Yeah.
out and was like,
I'm
hey,
not-
sorry, like, I'm sorry it upset you. I think it sets a precedence for like, we don't really know what we're doing. We're sort of scrambling here. And then
I think part of that's true though.
yeah, of course, but you want to seem like you have a vision.
I think it's kind of, especially for Blizzard, I think it's kind of groundbreaking for them to apologize because they definitely have made mistakes in the past, and normally they just don't own up to it. They don't say anything, right? And I do think it's okay. I don't think it's okay. I think it's big of them to at least say, hey, we know this isn't what the community liked, but I do think that part of that goes back to presentation and the way that they announced these changes and the things they did with them. I think Blizzard historically drops the ball pretty hard. Like the announcement of Diablo Immortal when we all expected Diablo 4.
Mm-hmm.
It completely trashed years of that game's PR just because of the way they announced it. And they could have handled it better. I think the same goes through with these patch notes. I think the difference is I don't think Blizzard actually thought that they were going to get the fallout from these patch notes. I thought they thought people would read this and just be okay with it. And I think hindsight, looking back at it now, they're probably like, oh yeah, we probably should have maybe had this fireside chat before we made the patch notes public, so we could have explained.
I think that
and
they
then it
sort
wouldn't
of
have been as bad.
They clarified their apology later to be like, hey, like what we're sorry for really is that we like made these wide sweeping nerfs, but like one, didn't tell you guys about it, and two, didn't all offer like alternatives to the classes like Source and Barb that really got hit the hardest. And I think that is sort of an okay apology. I don't think that you should apologize at the end of the day. I think
I'm not mad. I can see your point of view, but again, I'll just play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I don't think it was horrible. I think it shows, I think you're right. I think it does, the apology and the way that they delivered it does come off as we don't know what we're doing and we messed up. Sorry, we'll try to fix it. But also at the same time, to me, it comes off as, hey, we really care about wanting you to like this game and we screwed up, so we're going to try to fix it. And to me, that's like, well, that's cool. And I think something from the fireside chat that came off to me is the associate producer, Joe, not Shelley, what's the other one's name?
Joseph
Apega, yeah. I think Joe, man, I like Joe.
Yeah,
like, I don't know. Joe comes off super passionate. He comes off.
You say Joseph because Joe is Joe Shelley. Joseph.
Okay, Joseph. Did they put Joseph on there? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so Joseph is super passionate. He's super knowledgeable. He like, I think he is exactly what we want behind some of the chat. Yeah. I think he's some of what we want on the team too.
Sure.
You know, and I don't know how much direction and control he has. But yeah, I can see the apology both ways. I do think it's cool that they came off as passionate and caring. So I do think that's the positive from your aspect of, you know, we seem like we don't know what we're doing. But
well,
I think
also
part of it
like
is they don't know what they're doing.
The flip side of that is like, one, yes, it does set the precedence that like, hey, we're sort of scrambling here. We messed up. Like, I don't think that you should do that. But two, it's sort of like, I don't know. It's like it gives those nerds out there on the internet like some sense of like, we did it, guys. Like now, if we just bitch and complain all the time, we're gonna get what we want. Like,
I don't know.
Ugh.
Right.
It's just it's not a good look in my opinion.
I agree, but I think some of this was so the game started getting review bombed.
Yeah,
I'm sure you know that, right?
Right.
But
well, that's a topic point later, but
oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll save my comments for that then. So so back to the fireside chat. I did watch it. I was glued for most. I think I tuned out towards the question and answer section at the very end.
Yeah.
But I watched the majority of it. So
I will say that I don't know if they just changed the format, but I the last fireside I sort of gave the feedback that said, hey, instead of like doing this whole like fake interaction with each other where you're like, oh, like let me ask a question like I'm someone that doesn't know anything about the game and like making it awkward and weird and like the conversation doesn't flow. I feel like they did a much better job. I think it only happened once in this fireside chat where I think Joseph Papega actually asked a question that was sort of fake, but I think that the format was much smoother. Like it was just like present content and then ask Twitch questions. Well, yeah, I agree with that too. Like Rod just does. I like him.
I'm super happy he wasn't.
Yeah, I agree.
Personally,
he just shouldn't be on him.
He's not your guy for these kinds of events.
I also don't think like, no offense to Joe Shelley, I love him to death. He's obviously like he's got a good brain for Diablo, but maybe get someone in the room that like seems like he wants to be there. I don't know. Like
Joe, so here's
not
the
a
thing.
public speaker.
Here's behind the scenes from my interactions. So I've met Joe Shelley a couple times, and I actually went out. He was on some panels that you and I got to go to. Yeah. I actually in BlizzCon 2019 got to go to breakfast with some of the D4 guys. And in the breakfast, I sat at a table with Joe Shelley and Kim. I forget Kim's last name. But Joe was just like he is in the interview in person at breakfast. Yeah. Like he's super smart, super nice, but he's kind of like, he looked, he felt unenergetic and like he was worn down, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how he came off in every interaction I've kind of had with him. And it could be that the guy's grinding, 90 hours a week for 5 years. I don't know what he's doing, but he's super nice. I do like him, but I agree with you. Like maybe they should get
sure there's someone on Joe Shelley's team that one is just like he
a
wants to do
little
this.
More personal, a little more personable for the stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if Joe Shelley
give him some bangs, give him some energy drinks, but let him get up there and get hyped.
If Joe Shelley wants to be in the room, like that's one thing. Like have him keep coming. Like he's going to bring more to the discussion than Rod Ferguson does. Absolutely.
Like Joseph can get on there and just dialect with Adam. Those two could carry it. I don't think you even need more. Like if you maybe want to have, let's say that in your fireside chat you're going to talk about writing or art or whatever, and you want to have somebody come on and just do like a quick couple minute interview, that's cool. But I think Joseph could get on there and just carry. So
let's talk about the changes they made here. So one is that they talked about, so not this Friday, 7/28. Next Friday, August 4th, will be a big patch, as what they said. And they're going to talk about more on this Friday, the 28th. They're going to have another fireside. But so number one, Sorcerer and Barbarian will be buffed in the next few weeks. So like expect a lot of legendary aspects on those classes to sort of either change or get buffed. Again, I haven't played either of those, so lots of
re-rolls next Friday. Got it.
2, there will be substantial increases to mob density and hell tides in Nightmare Dungeons. And honestly, in the hotfix that they released after this fireside, I felt like it went up. So if there's going to be more, great. They also said in the next patch there will be additional stash tab, one stash tab, and the elixir size will be increased to 99.
Okay, let's stop for just a second. Yeah. The stash tab thing.
Wait, are we going to go into that?
Can we?
It's a discussion point.
Okay,
also on the schedule.
I'll wait.
Yeah. So one additional stash tab, this elixir stack size, I think that's a plus. Obviously people wanted more than one stash tab, but we'll get into why they can't do that later. And then a dedicated gem tab is not coming until season 2, is what they said. Another bullet point 4 here is skill respect. Oh, what?
Season 2 gem tab? Uh-oh. Season 2 is going to be some kind of currency thing.
What do you mean?
They're going to pull a PoE. They're going to have some new currency that has to go in the tab.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, currencies are great if that's what you're thinking, right?
Don't you think?
No, I think this is just part of this bullet point because gems are part of the problem of stash.
Season 2 is going to bring some kind of new currency that needs to go in the currency tab.
Well, this season brought a new currency that needs to go in the currency tab. The heart.
Season 2 is going to be season of currency.
Well, every season is technically season of currency by that. Okay, so bullet point 4, skill respects costs will be reduced by 40% to encourage switching builds. I personally thought this one was sort of a miss. I think the skill cost is fine. I think the problem is like unspecking each point one at a time on the fucking Paragon board. Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the
This
cost,
specking just sucks
whatever,
in general. I don't know. Like
It
they need
does-
an armory pretty bad. Like
Mm.
I think more so than the I don't know. More so than the spec recost is just the ability to go back if I need to go back.
I think that you're so right in one sense. It's like I feel like this game in its current design is 100% an armory type game. Like the game would be better with an armory right now. But if you're asking me, like, should they just give the armory? Like, hopefully we can move away from that sort of being what this game feels like. But right now, yes, an armory would make the game better. Yeah, but I don't think that's what the game should be like. But that's not the
vision.
Right.
But there's a whole lot of things that it's just like, it's the more you dive into it, the more you play it, it is so Diablo 3.
Mm-hmm.
It is like so crazy. It's Diablo 3 with a fresh coat of paint. And as that paint chips away, you're like, wait a minute. We've seen this system. I've seen that convention of elements before somewhere. What is that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a malignant gem. It's like there's so many little things that's just like, I don't know. But yeah, I'm with you, but that's like a whole different game direction, I feel, than where we're going. You know? So
the next bullet point is there would be adjustments to make leveling 50 through 100 feel less like a job. There are plans to add more variety to in-game content, and we'll touch on that at the very end, that little bullet point. Next one was there will be opportunities to obtain Uber uniques in the future. The drop rate will be made a little bit more common over time. Build loadouts are being discussed, but are not currently on the roadmap, which is what we just talked about. There will be a way to find a particular unique items or particular legendary aspects in season 2.
with that currency that's going to go in the new currency.
Yeah, maybe.
Got it.
Maybe incubation eggs or whatever from PoE.
Yeah, Pokemon Go eggs where you have to walk around with them. What was that?
Yeah, they still exist. I forget what they're called. They're incubated something. It's not eggs, but they look like an egg. But you just like you put it on a piece of gear and it says, go farm like 100,000 mobs. Yeah. And you'll get this. And like I don't mind that system, really, honestly.
I don't hate that either. I don't think it's super
riveting, not in depth, but right, yeah.
Yeah, but
I honestly think SSF, and this is a whole tangent, but SSF should have a vendor for those incubation items, and you should just be able to get what you want. But it costs something like crazy, like 2.8 million kills or something like that. There will be a way. Okay, I already read that one. The damage reduction system, armor, and resistances will be worked in season 2. I heard that one. I don't know how that's gonna play out though, because I don't know. It will depend on sort of your class. Like, since we're int characters and we're getting the res, will that be impactful enough for us to want to pick armor? And the strength bonuses that sort of the barb gets, is that going to be like enough for them to not want to stack armor and they can stack reses?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Your stats don't mean shit anyways in the game. That bothers me a lot. That like when you, for example, on my barb, like strength isn't impactful. It's not.
I don't know. Late game, it's incredibly impactful. It's one of your own separate multipliers.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it didn't seem. Yeah.
I don't know how the current.
I don't feel like it's as impactful as I would expect it to be. I would expect that to be.
It's definitely impactful for damage. It's just to me, it's a matter of, is it impactful for like strength gives armor? Is that buff impactful? Is the armor that you're getting from strength impactful? I don't know. Because, getting int or resistances from int, is that going to be like good enough? Or are we going to have to like stack more resistances?
Still stack, yeah.
I still think the big, huge miss here is going to be like, well, so they're going to rework resistances, but all this gear drops with like 40 fire res or something on it. And then are you going to be keeping gear in our 4 stash tab inventory that has like resistance or lightning resistance on it? Like, so you're gonna have a gear set for every type of resistance? Like, that would be terrible.
With no armory
or no stash.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So like,
let's go back to Diablo 2.
Yeah.
Right. So no.
There will be more options to modify gear in the future. God, well, let's hope so.
Wait, we can modify gear in this game?
The Mystic, the worst Mystic. How'd that happen?
How did you fuck up the D3 Mystic? I don't even understand. Like, you literally copy pasted in the game and you didn't bring over preview.
Yeah.
You didn't
And
bring
there's
over
also
preview.
still there's something to rolling. Like I don't know how much rolling you've done in Diablo 4, but
Oh my god,
it
not
just
much because
seems
it's
like
too fucking
it's
expensive.
expensive, but it also like I don't know, it feels bugged. Like it feels like you always hit the same fucking thing over and over and over. And I just don't feel like that was ever the case in Diablo 3.
It feels so horrible to reroll in D4 that I don't even, if the piece of gear isn't rolled like pretty god tier to begin with, I'm like, well, I'm not fixing this. I'm not trying to fix this.
Yeah.
Or like I could re-roll this and it's better than what I got, but it's still not perfect. So nah, like I'm not gonna sit there and waste my entire gold stack fixing this piece of gear. So
yeah. And then the legendary drop chance for goblins are going to go up again. I think there should be like a guaranteed legendary probably on goblins. Period.
Yeah, I ran it. I thought that honestly already hit because I remember finding some goblins in the season and I'm like, oh yeah, goblins got buffed, and then I went and killed them and I didn't get shit, and I'm like, oh, okay.
And then this one. This is the one I wanted to talk about the most. So this says there is a hot fix that will be rolling out, and it already rolled out. It rolled out last, I think, Friday. That includes changes to Nightmare Dungeons. So basically, what they did was they wanted Nightmare 100s to feel like Nightmare 70s.
Yeah.
So Nightmare Dungeons got nerfed into the ground, and it sort of feels like they want you to be able to hit.
They did that
GR100
to compensate, to try to make us feel better about them nerfing our builds, because from a psychological standpoint, if I did a 100 before, I should be able to do a 100 now. That's the only reason they did it. It's just a psychological thing.
That and the other thing they said, the more important thing that's not on this list, is they basically said in the Fireside that they never intended and they never will intend for you to sort of be farming Nightmare Dungeons. Like Nightmare Dungeons is not meant to be their end game.
So what was your end game then?
But they didn't say.
Because if you take that out, there's a whole lot of nothing.
And I think that this change in particular, like you said, is probably just for all those people that are like, oh my God, I went from farming Nightmare 50s to like 30s, but now they're back up to like 60s or whatever. It's probably for them, but I think it's weird to roll it out this soon because they're saying literally, we don't want you to be pushing Nightmare Dungeons as like your end game content. However, we have nothing else for you to do. So I think it's too early to like pull out. Like the only reason there was the sort of, gear grind and min max was sort of like, well, you can either like sort of push word of mouth, push like a Nightmare Dungeon and be like, oh, I cleared like 80 or 90 with this build. And that's sort of like the end game currently. But they're taking that away completely. So it's just like everyone's going to be able to get 100 if they really spec their character enough. So I think that it's sort of weird to make this change so soon.
Yeah, I don't know, unless they add something in season 2, season 3's leaderboards. Which one did they say?
They said season 3 now.
3.
Leaderboards.
So 3 will be the first in-game content we get, in my opinion. Season 2 is going to be very equal or less than this. I would expect season 2 to be worse than season 1, just because they probably put a lot of energy into this one because it's the first one. And then season 2 is going to hit, it's going to be lesser, and then season 3 will hit, and it's going to be their big leaderboard first end game activity. That's kind of, my gut.
I'm super curious. I think, with season 1, we both said like this is going to be super telling. I think it probably matched maybe our expectations. Like I think we both had pretty low expectations, and I think we were both happy that it wasn't something as stupid as like double goblins or something like that, but it definitely fell short.
It couldn't have been double goblins. It's funny like I think you heard rumors of gems, I heard rumors of gems, and it literally is
gems. So. But I now going forward, like, so I said like season 1 will be really telling. I do feel like season 2 will be really telling as well, because it's sort of obviously they're already working on it, so maybe it won't be like crazy telling because like it was already being worked on probably before season 1 ended, or for season 1 even like hit prod. But to sort of see what their direction will be after. Will they make a seasonal theme that they're going to plan to roll over? I know that feedback has been given, like at least in the Discord a lot, is that people are like, well, we just need more stuff to do. And I think they're very aware of that. And they reiterated that in the fireside chat multiple times. It's like, we know that just is not enough to do. So yeah, I'm curious to see what season
Double
2
goblins could still be a thing though. They could
Fuck
still
off.
roll out.
Fuck
They could
off.
no. Listen. They could still
Stop.
roll a mid-season event and do double goblins or do double exp.
I hope not.
Dude, it's going to happen.
No. Don't make
I don't know if it's
stupid double XP weekend. That's so fucking cringe.
They're going to. There's going to be an XP weekend, XP week. There's no way they don't. There's no way. There's 0% chance that doesn't happen.
Dumb. They're so dumb.
It's going to happen.
The only, we talked about
Call
this
of
a million
Duty does
times.
it all the time. Man. Activision. It's going to happen.
Stop. Don't even put that idea in their head. Someone's listening, like the one person at Blizzard listens to our podcast is like, you know what? PChild said we should do a double XP weekend. It's a pretty good idea.
No, there's more than one. We get DMs from time to time when we piss people off.
Just don't. The only weekend event that should ever happen is like a weekend leaderboard. That is the only thing that should ever happen, in my opinion. But something competitive and fun, or maybe like a reason for us to want to jump into PvP, like some sort of special PvP weekend event.
Yeah, double blood shards.
Stop it. It's not like actual power, but like a reason to want to jump in.
Double blood shards.
Okay. You're done. You're done making suggestions. You're fired.
No, I'm just telling you they've already planned them out, man. I'm just leaking it right here. You heard it first.
Yeah.
So
but yeah, so like it is really interesting to hear them, from the mouth of the beast themselves are like, we don't want you to be farming Nightmare Dungeons. So I think all these references people making to saying like, oh well, Nightmare Dungeons are our greater rifts, I think that's probably not true anymore. Nightmare Dungeons would probably be like normal rifts. I would think it's what it's sounding like it might be their plan.
Yeah, I don't know if Nightmare Dungeons aren't their end game. Then I honestly have no idea what their direction is, because they haven't tilted their hand to let us know what in-game content could be coming. Like there's never been significant in-game content ever talked about in the history of D4. Like in all their talks, they've always shown, like, before the game came out, we had the end games conversations, and you and I have both been like, this isn't carrying the game, boys. Like, what do we have? So if there's more in the works, like, man, I really hope that's season 2 content, or at worst season 3 content.
Yeah, I would hope it be season 2, because like if we're getting leaderboard in season 3, like I almost feel like leaderboard would be enough to carry.
What are they going to leaderboard?
Yeah, exactly. And so maybe season 2 they introduce the thing that they're gonna leaderboard, so we have some practice. I don't know.
Like, what could they though? The game has nothing right now. You can't leaderboard Nightmare Dungeons. You can't leaderboard. I mean, leveling. You want to have like a leveling race, one through the a leaderboard of who did it fastest. That's, nobody cares if you're not number 1, right? So
yeah,
I don't know.
Right now there's just no format for it.
Who are you texting over there? You texting your boo?
Listen,
on the podcast? Hold on.
I am getting spammed in his. Yeah. Anyway.
No, you just listen. You share. I'm like teacher in class.
What?
Mr. Fluff, what are you doing over there?
Don't worry
show
about
us the messages. Show us the messages, sir.
Chill.
They better be spicy.
Chill. Anyways,
it's like, damn, your co-host is pretty good.
I'm listening. I'm engaging still. I'm multitasking like a motherfucker, right?
I'm almost done with the pod. I'm rushing through it. You can come over in a minute, baby. I swear.
But yeah, next talking point is again a moment where I felt like I was in a bubble. So I finished the what do they call them in the Diablo 4? It's not the season journey, but the battle pass. So I finished the battle pass really fast, and so I think I was like level 70, 72, and I had done all levels. The bottom.
That's the new leaderboard.
Without
the battle pass leaderboard.
Without even realizing it. And so it's like, oh, okay. And so I hadn't bought it. I was like, well, I have all the tiers once I buy it. So like, I'll just go buy it. And so it was $10. I bought it, and I just claimed like every reward that was in it. And I do like. We'll showcase real quick. I do like the way it looks. Let's load up the game. Make sure I'm muted. I do like the way it looks. I do like some of the weapon effects. I do like the armor effects. You sort of look like a evil Donnie Darko bunny.
I think it's cool for some classes. Like I don't think it cosmetically appeals to me for my druid at all. But for necro, I think that's pretty dope. Like it fits what I would want my necro to look like, but not my druid. So But yeah, I'm
Yeah,
with you. I think
so
the
that's
cosmetics are decent.
what it looks like.
Yeah, it
And
looks
then
good. And you got a little smoke.
yeah, get some particle effects on it, which so I think
Yeah.
this is the first armor that I've seen particle effects on. So I do like that.
Yeah, and it's not crazy. It's
Yeah.
not over the top,
Right.
right? So, and I respect that because I feel like, PoE, for an example, which is free to play, so a different model, but
Yeah.
you look like you're homeless in PoE unless you spend a couple bucks to buy some cosmetics. So if you spend a couple bucks in Diablo 4, like you don't have flame wings that light up the whole screen. It's not crazy. Go load into that. Pull it up real quick.
Okay.
Let's look at the battle pass.
I got
tiers,
the mount
just
as
in
well.
case.
So
Yeah, I have the mount too. I actually don't like the mount as much as I like the spectral mount that I got off one of the world bosses. But I did put the armor on the mount.
Okay.
I think that's kind of cool. But it is a little disappointing to me that the mount wasn't cooler than the mount I already had.
yeah.
So, yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah. And then I put up the mount. I think the mount doesn't look bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. Show the battle pass real quick.
Yeah.
Tiers.
I
think it's you.
Oh yeah. So there's 90 tiers of it.
Yeah.
I thought that the seasonal blessings
in there
were an interesting idea. They're like really small, so it's just like whatever. But it's just stuff you get on the way to 100. So it's like it's sort of a reason, I guess, to push higher levels, which is nice. Like it's one reason to hit level 100 instead of just ramming your face into a wall, I guess. So that's pretty cool. I don't really like this, like these tombstones.
Yeah,
like, who would spend money on this? Like
on hardcore,
are you dying all the time?
On hardcore, you can't die anyways. So I said that initially when the game first launched, I was like, what is this tombstone thing? Why do I not have any? And so they're selling them on the shop, and I'm like, is this only for when I die? You're never gonna die. Like, you don't want to die, right? So hardcore, you'd never see that. So that's such a silly concept to me.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the currency they give us.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to talk about. So the reason I brought this up, so this is my own screenshot. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm living in my bubble. I spend $10. I have all the tiers unlocked already. I go through, I click, and I get, 666 coins. Just from the battle
cool.
pass.
Diablo, like 666. Oh yeah,
right.
Cool.
And before you jump into negatives, I was like, cool. So now I only had to spend $3.34 on next season's battle pass.
You're such a battle pass noob if you thought that. I already know what's going on. Let's go.
But even still, okay, so then you can only buy increments of I think it's $5. Like, let's go look real quick.
It's $5. Well, they might have a $1. I think most games is $5. Let's see if they have the $1. I bet they don't.
Platinum. They have a 200, a 500, and 1,000.
Okay.
So next season, I have to buy, $5 pass. But I was thinking 2 thumbs up. Like, and I still kind of do think 2 thumbs up. Like, cool. Like,
okay.
If I only have to spend $5 this season instead of, what I thought was going to be 10. And I still think 10's kind of low. Like, if I was really involved, like, which I already have, like, I kind of feel like, yeah, I would have invested $10 in this season. I've played enough. I've enjoyed it enough that I would rationalize spending $10 on it. Like, to me, it was like a no-brainer. But to know next season, I only have to spend $3.34 technically I thought it was a win.
Okay.
But flip side of the coin is people are freaking out about this. And again, this is me like living in my own bubble, or like,
this is a fluff bubble. So let me explain how this normally works in other games.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have a lot of battle pass experience because of my kids. I personally don't buy battle passes usually. My son does, though. He buys the Fortnite battle pass. And the way the Fortnite one works is, for one, it's $7, not 10. But that cost aside, he spends the $7 if he completes his Fortnite's redesigned there, so it's not 100 levels like this. But if he completes his battle pass, he gets enough of the premium currency to buy the next seasons. It's usually equal. So let's say it's 1,000 coins, right? If he completes his battle pass, I think he usually gets 1,100 coins, which is slightly more. So over the course of a couple battle passes, he might even have enough to get another cosmetic or something too. Most games work that way. Apex used to work that way. I don't know if they still do, but they used to. Fortnite works that way. Most battle passes give you enough of the premium currency that if you buy it once and you complete the thing, you can save that currency and then you never have to spend again. I knew instantly that Blizzard wasn't going to do that because Overwatch 2 doesn't do that. So when they put the battle pass in Overwatch 2, it literally gives you no premium currency. There's 0 in it. So I assumed that Diablo 4 would follow suit. Yeah, so people are probably pissed about that, I would imagine, because the standard is to give you enough to buy the next one.
Is it? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so shame on me, I guess. But people are freaking out.
You're not wrong. It's a way to incentivize you to spend money. It's another psychological game that they're playing because they're like, well, okay, let's say Fluff really likes season 1, he's hype on the game, but now season 2 he's not going to spend 10, but if we discounted it to 5, he probably will. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then so they're gonna keep getting you in that 5. And as long as you keep playing every season, you're getting a discount. You're gonna get a $5 battle pass instead of a 10.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. Like, I'm not mad at Blizzard making money. My problem that I have with this system is Fortnite's free, Apex is free, PoE is free. I don't know how PoE works. I would assume they're following the Fortnite standard that they set. Most of these other games are free to play. Overwatch is also free, and they don't give you the currency. I'm like, okay, but it's still free. A beef is that this is a $70 title. They jacked the price up to next-gen prices. You know what I mean? So you're paying next-gen prices, and then you're still buying the battle pass every season as well. And you don't have to. So I'm not really mad, but my point is that the free games are giving it away, but the $70 title can't afford to. I don't know.
Yeah. But to touch on what this article is complaining on, like the cheapest item that gets thrown into the store rotation is 800 platinum. So people are sort of being like, well, you gave 666, which is not enough.
Buy nothing.
Which I get. But to me, again, it's
supposed to be to buy the next battle pass.
Right.
Is historically what it's for. Yeah.
I have yet to see anything show up in this shop that I would even consider buying.
It's all recolors of stuff that you can kind of already get anyways. A lot of it's just a recolor. Like, there's some things that are unique, but I haven't seen anything cool either, to be honest. And the thing that surprises me is I don't see skill recolors. Like, they haven't. I'm sure they will, but like, what if I want my? I don't know. What if I want my Frost Nova to be purple? I don't just stuff like that. Like, if I'm playing I would think that they would hit. An example would be Sorceress. When I was playing my Sorceress, okay, I'm playing Ice Shards. I'm a cold build. Do they have any cold armor? Do they have any armor that looks like, oh, that's really dope? I look like an icicle and stuff like that. Nope. Okay, if I'm playing Lightning build, do I have any shoulders that are like shooting lightning out of them or something? Like, there's none. There's like no thematic sets that match the persona of my character, which is what I would want. If I'm playing a Necro, like, do they have any kind of, corpse-looking skeletons
like,
and skulls? And
I mean, I know some people think this looks cool, but I just think it looks like a little sad skeleton. So, like, this just does not appeal to me.
That looks to me like it's, I don't know. I just watched Lord of the Rings again.
Yeah,
recently,
it looks like one of those ghosts.
It looks like the ghost from Return of the King.
Yes,
but
exactly.
But that's fine. That movie was 20 years ago now. So if they took inspiration from it, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I don't. And some of the cosmetics they sell are just like that sword. Like, there's nothing special about that. I want glowy shit if I'm paying money.
Yeah,
that's just me.
At least like, the armor has a particle effect. But,
yeah, some particle effect. But
anyways, I haven't seen it. Honestly, like, I'm a big person on, like, if I see some. But here's the other thing too, is like, if I see something on the shop, like Lost Ark did this, like when it launched, I think the season 1, like, cosmetics for Lost Ark, I was like, holy shit, like, you look like a Death Knight, and I bought it. I was like, done. But I can tell you right now, like, I'll probably never replace that armor. It's gonna be super rare that something's gonna, like, hit my niche as well as, like, something like that did. It's just like Path of Exile. I still wear, like, I think it's called Wrath King armor or something like that. Something like that. But I bought that back in, like, I don't even know, season 6 or something, and I don't even know what season we're on technically in PoE. But I
had this conversation with one of my kids. We were talking, and they were like, to remove ads off this mobile game was $10. And they're like, I'm not paying $10 to take ads off this game. Like, I like the game. It's fun. It's my daughter. She's not a huge gamer, but she's like, it's a fun game, but I'm not paying $10 to take the ads off. And I'm like, would you for $1? She was like, yeah, probably. And I'm like, so they outpriced their thing. Like, I don't know where they get their numbers from, but PoE was the same. So for me and PoE, I would have bought cosmetics. If I could have bought a cosmetic outfit for $5 or $10, probably $5, I would have done it for sure. $10, probably. But $40 for just a set of wings? There's no way. Like, there's absolutely zero chance I'm going to do that. And it's like, I guess I don't know how they get the math or get the numbers, but they must have more whales to spend 40 and make more money than to sell a set to a lot more people.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the strategy is. Obviously, I'm sure they have some big.
Maybe it diminishes the cool factor if everybody has them. I wish I would love to have like insight into some of the monetization teams on these teams to see like, so I can just be like, why are these wings $40 and not 10? Like, explain that to me. I would love to hear like why and how.
I concur. But yeah, so that was sort of it. Again, in my own little
that's cool. I'm glad that you were able to complete the season pass. I also have the season pass. I don't know if I'm gonna play enough to complete it, to be honest. Like I felt 70?
Like that's like, I don't know, that's like easy.
I felt like it's a chore for me to play right now, and this feels bad. I don't dislike the game, but it's not more fun than other stuff that I play. And I'm playing it.
What is more fun right now for you?
Literally anything.
Dude, you're killing me. You're actually killing me. With your mentality on Diablo, you're just killing me. You're actually killing me.
Listen, man, I'm not trying to be negative. I don't want to be.
I know you're not trying to be negative, but your mentality doesn't make sense.
I'm just saying, like, I'm playing Diablo, and I would rather play Wrath Classic. I would rather play 2K. I would rather play Overwatch. And I've forced myself to play, and a lot of it was for the podcast. If I'm being 100% transparent, I literally played so we could have this discussion, because I'm like, I can't sit here and jump on the podcast and not have played the season. So I played the season, and I'm like, but the whole time I'm doing it, I'm like, dude, this isn't fun. Like, I'm like, I'd rather play Overwatch. I literally thought that for about an hour, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go play Overwatch.
You're just not an ARPG Andy anymore. It's so obvious.
I don't know, man. It's just like,
it's a new ARPG. There's some stuff here that's okay, but like, we're sort of in a place where we're waiting on the next Path of Exile League. So like,
I'm not saying the game's dog. I'm just saying that it's not more fun than other stuff.
But you played a bazillion hours of Diablo 3. And this is the same.
If I'm being honest, Fluff, if I'm being 100% honest, I think Diablo 3 is more fun. I think Diablo 3 is more fun. And that's crazy to me.
I think that you'll be right. Like, if this game progressed to season 10 and like nothing changed, that Diablo 3 will 100% be the better game.
Am I more excited for the next season of Diablo 3 or the next season of Diablo 4? Honestly, I think it's Diablo 3. I think Diablo 3 is going to be more fun.
You're out of your mind.
I'm excited for season 2 of Diablo 4 for the simple fact that there's like this shred of hope that it's going to be poggers. But I already know it's not. I already know that Diablo 3 season 30, 29, whatever the hell it is going to be more fun. That weekend will be more fun than the entirety of season 1 or season 2
But you're
of Diablo
expecting
4.
D3 to get a new seasonal theme. I don't know, dude. I just don't feel like it will.
D3 is going to have another season, 100%.
Oh yeah, they'll have another season, but will they have a new seasonal theme? I think no.
Absolutely.
I think they'll recycle something.
No. The next season will be something new.
All right.
I'm telling you, it's going to be something new.
It's going to be so hard to go back.
It'll be something new.
Wink. What does that mean?
God damn it, Fluff. It's going to be something new. That's what I'm telling you.
Why'd you wink then?
Oh my God.
What?
I'll tell you after
am I
the
not supposed
pod.
to know something here? Or what?
No, I'll tell you after the pod.
I'll tell you one thing right now is I have not gone back and looked or discussed or anything D3 related since Diablo 4's come out. That's just me.
D3. I think the next season of D3 is going to be the best one we've ever had, and it'll be the finale.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
But it's 29. Wouldn't it make more sense to be 30?
I can't imagine they're going to keep the D3 team working on D3 now that D4 is out. That's just I just can't imagine it. Can you imagine them still? They'll do one more because it's kind of like in the life cycle.
I hope beyond, like, if I could have like 10 wishes, I think. No, I don't think I would wish it. I don't think I would wish this, but if they don't buff Pestilence for like the final wave of changes in Diablo 3 for Necromancer, what a waste! What a total fucking waste.
I think
Frankie, if you're in here, do it, dude. Pull the trigger. God.
I can. I don't know if I'll. I can't comment on things until I get clarity if I can comment because I don't want to.
I already know you can't. Like this Blizzard's way. Like they would never. No.
Like there's some things that I would love to say, but I don't know. I'll get clarity. So, yeah. I think the next season of Diablo 3 is going to be better. It'll be more fun. Like if you play the season, if we blast a Friday night, Saturday, like the all night Friday, 8 or 14-hour day like we normally do, that shit will be more fun than any experience I've had in D4 so far. I mean, maybe the launch was pretty, the launch of D4 was a pretty big deal, right? But
I don't know. There'd have to be some pretty impactful D3 changes.
You don't even think you're going to play it where you're not going to blast the launch of D3?
If I log into the season 3 patch notes and it's just like nothing really changed for the Necro, but there's a new seasonal theme, yeah, I'm probably not interested. There's nothing that's going to interest me besides like finding builds or like playing a build that I love.
This last season of D3, the last launch of D3 season, I only played it for the weekend. It was phenomenal. It was like the best season launch, the best season weekend I ever had. It was.
Well, that can't be true because I wasn't around for it.
Well, that's maybe why it was so good. Listen, you just text your boo over there. Podcast is wrapping up.
Shut the fuck up. All right, next talking point.
What do we got?
We have this one, which is a big one. This is probably like, wow. Okay. So Joseph Pepega, Pepora, for people that don't know the reference, that's just a meme. He was asked, like, why, okay, we're only getting one stash tab, right? So he says, when we say there are expensive, when we say stash tabs are expensive, what we mean is that they create a lot of memory overhead. When you see another player in game, load them and their entire stash with all of their items. This is what teams are working diligently to improve so we can have more ASAP. So what's your
I'm gonna let you hit this.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yo, I got a reaction, but I'm gonna give this to you first since you are a software developer.
Yes.
I want and I'm gonna blast after because I have some strong opinions on this one too.
There are many concerns there. So number one is we knew from D3 that this is how D3 worked. And this was one of the biggest problems with stash space in D3. And so obviously, yet again, we're getting evidence that they copy pasted Diablo 3 code because how in a million fucking years a junior engineer on my team could come up with a better system than loading an entire character stash space? And this could only be, and we know this is only could be from D3. They were trying to prevent duping. So what they would do is they would load the entire stash so people couldn't like just drop stuff on the ground and then like dupe items to each other on seasons or on like, normal gameplay multiplayer co-op. So like, fucking how?
I'm in the exact same boat. Like that's exactly was my comment was how in the hell did you copy paste this from D3? We know it's a problem in D3. We've even addressed the problem. They tried to give us more stash space in D3 and it broke the game in PTR and they had to take it away. You remember?
Yes.
And I literally had conversations with the devs that did that and they're like, man, we tried so many things to make this work and we just can't. We literally can't give you any more stash space. the amount we gave you still breaks the game sometimes. Like, you know what I mean? How is that in D4?
Bro.
Like how?
I want to show
how
you.
is it,
I want to show chat. I want to show you something real quick.
like I don't understand. Like how in the hell is this game launching in 2023 with the same archaic system? And so then on top of that, there are some developers that are in my community, like super crazy good devs, and they got into like a nerd talk about like how they could fix it, and they're like they could just do this table with like, you know what I mean, and it's just, how did this become a thing? I don't know.
No idea, dude.
I don't know.
Shit, I haven't opened PoE in a long time, apparently. But
yeah,
the reason I wanted to bring up PoE, obviously they figured it out. But if
they have infinite fucking tabs,
dude, if you can have infinite fucking tabs because you can buy them, but two, if I log in to my non-season character from in Path of Exile, I have every single league's worth of stash tabs just sitting there. Like, and it is like I can't even put on paper. Like, so I wanted to show it. Like, how many fucking tabs, millions and millions and millions and millions of tabs that I will probably never access again, but they never go away. And like, if this was Diablo 3 code, I would see one person and my processor would be fried in a second.
Your computer's catching fire again midstream.
Fuck. Yeah. So how does PoE not only solve this problem, but it's not a non-issue? And Diablo Blizzard, like this huge company, this AAA company that's bigger than GGG, still can't figure this out. Like, how is this possible?
So I understand why they can't give it to us. Like, okay, you made a shitty design choice. Our engineers are working on it. We're trying to fix it. Okay. But man, I don't know, man. I feel for Joseph having to deliver that message.
Yeah.
Dude, that's one fucking tab. So like, oh my god. So you played the betas, you play tested, and your original design was to only give us 4 tabs ever. If giving us one additional tab was like engineering work, that means that you had designed that to be it. Yeah. What the fuck? Did you play Diablo 3? I couldn't even save all the sets I couldn't save every set for every class in Diablo 3. You literally can't. You don't have the storage to save every set for every class. It is impossible on one account to do it unless you start making mule characters, and then maybe you can pull it off if you equip characters with the gear and shit like that. It's fucking silly to me. I can't even. I assumed we would unlock more stash space through the season, kind of like Diablo 3. I thought they were going to steal that, where it's like complete your seasonal journey and get a stash tab or something, even though I thought that's super lame. But
yeah. I just can't, like, I couldn't believe the moment that I saw him tweet or reply to like, why no stash? And then I was reading basically a reply that I had read, 2 years after Diablo 3 came out. Like, I've already read this. You're giving me the exact same response that I was given like 10 fucking years ago. Like, what? That is crazy. That is crazy.
Kind of like chat said. At least they didn't sell the stash tab. They didn't say how we're getting this new stash tab yet, though. So they're not going to sell it, obviously, but they can make us buy it with in-game currency or earn it somehow.
I haven't even logged in on this machine.
Yeah. Get his password.
Oh, if you don't know, I don't know if I told you. Well, maybe we talk about it later, but I'll quickly mention. So after you remember the last podcast, my browser kept crashing. And like the computer's being funny. Literally, that after that podcast, the computer totally died. The brand new machine that I built.
Really?
Yep.
Did you have to warranty, or do you buy all new stuff?
So I just didn't have the tools to really diagnose what the hell is going on. Obviously I tried like swapping out RAM. I don't have like a second motherboard and a second CPU just around to like test that stuff. But and then I would get to the point where I could post, I want to get to normal league here. Hang on. Standard league. Okay. And so I ended up taking it, and they're like, yeah, your processor. And like, literally the only game I ever played on this new computer was Diablo 4. And people that have been talking ends and over about the memory leaks that are happening in D4. So I mean, there's a legit non-zero chance that Diablo 4 fried my 13900K.
Well, memory leak would
unironically.
fire a CPU.
Yeah, CPU fried.
Yeah, memory leak would.
A memory leak would fry a processor. Yeah, 100%.
How?
What do you mean? It overloads your CPU, like it overloads what you're processing. Yeah, memory. Like it's not a memory leak. Isn't just like, oh, you're leaking like RAM space. Like a memory leak can cause like processes to take place that wouldn't normally have to. It can just keep infinitely looping.
Okay, I'll take your word. As a software engineer, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, but look at this.
So
this is my non-season character in Path of Exile, and any one of these tabs is like just massive, and it's just being stored like for no reason. And I have even gone through and clearing some of these out, so this isn't even like an indication of like how bad it could be, but obviously a non-issue. No lag loading this. And that Blizzard, AAA company, by the way. I don't know.
look at that stash.
It's crazy.
Like that's nutty. I mean, how many?
Like so many fucking
15 tabs on a row right there. You have like 40 stash tabs there.
And these are like
easy.
Some of these are huge.
Maybe more. Yeah, and they're like
this one like
slots on slots on slots.
I got the advanced stash
and that's the whole season. Can you are the tabs at the top in the middle of that stash? Are those new pages as well? Or are those just filters?
The ones that are remove only are from old seasons, but the ones that don't have this remove only are like permanent.
Yeah, that's funny.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, can we hire those GGG devs that design stash and item memory, please?
Yeah.
So.
Anyways.
Yeah, I don't know, man. So I would think that there would be checks in place to keep your CPU from frying itself, like that though. Like the hardware fail safes.
I'm just saying it's a non-zero chance it's Diablo 4's fault that my 3900K is dead.
Maybe you just gotta fault.
And I had CPU temperatures, like gauges, like fail safes for that. So it wasn't a matter of like, oh, like it wasn't, maybe what's the thermal paste? Like maybe the thermal paste wasn't properly touching the heat plate or something like that. Nothing like that, because the CPU temperatures never raised over a degree. And it wasn't overclocked.
Well, on top of that, you have fail safes, you have triggers in your motherboard that will they'll literally just hard lock your computer and blue screen it if it gets too hot, unless you disable that shit, which you didn't. So, so yeah, super weird.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I'm gonna build a new PC. I'm just waiting for the 4900Ks to drop. Like they're gonna hit in like the next 3 or 4 months, from what I'm hearing. So I'm just literally sitting on my cash waiting to snag one up when it comes out. So.
But literally the only reason I'm able to play right now is because my old game PC, I ended up giving to a friend. So I basically had to call him and be like, can I borrow it back? Can I borrow it back for a while? Like,
did he set it up yet?
Yeah.
He already set it up? Oh,
yeah.
Damn.
So that's what I'm on right now. That's what I've been on since the season started. I had to get that going.
Did you give it to him? Give it to him? Just
I gave it to him for free. Like,
damn. What? You didn't call me up? Your best homie?
You want my old gaming PC?
I would have given it to a kid, but
fine. Okay. Well, he actually doesn't want it back, so we can have that conversation too if you want.
Yeah, let's have that conversation. Yeah, my daughter might love it. So, anyways, interesting, man. Yeah, I don't know what else do we have to hit. The stash tab thing was crazy. Before we have a 3-hour pod going on now. Fluff and I had conversations, just so you guys are listening. We're like, so when we initially talked about this podcast back in 2017, I don't even know when we started this.
Yep.
We were like, yeah, we'll do 1-hour episodes. I don't think we've ever had a single 1-hour episode podcast ever. So,
and you wanted to wait until next week, and we're still not done. That would have been insane. That would have been insane.
So chat keeps telling me to ask you why your coffee is better than mine. Is this a real thing? Were you talking shit on my coffee?
Is it just Neverborn? Literally never listening to Neverborn Lucky. He's always just trolling to try to get you to trigger or something.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, so this we alluded to earlier, right? Like you and I said, it's a discussion topic. So basically, people are going over to the user score on Metacritic for Diablo 4, and they are spamming low votes because basically obviously there's some legit, like, people are like, I'm disappointed with like how this game has like performed or whatever for yourself. But people are just doing it because they're bitter about the fucking patch. Do you think that this is fair?
The internet's toxic, man. No, I mean, the internet's like, who cares? Like, I don't know how much influence Metacritic really has over the thing. Like, dude, Diablo's super successful. What did they hit? Like was it 666 million or something? What was the number? It was 666 million, right?
Yeah,
something stupid.
Yeah,
like who cares, guys? You sold enough money to like, you sold enough copies. You're fine. The internet's troll. Like everything's troll. Every community's toxic. What community isn't like? Honestly, Diablo community is very mild compared to GTA community or the WoW. I even think the WoW community or Overwatch, like all the other communities I pay any attention to, Madden, 2K, anything, they're really toxic in my opinion. I think Diablo is one of the more mild communities. So I'm a little surprised at this, but at the same time, we got in a lot of new blood.
Oh God.
I think
yeah,
we got in so much new blood, and I think the new blood is more of this newer aged, more toxic than Diablo 3 community historically for me wasn't crazy toxic. There were some really nice. For the most part, there were some nice members. I mean, it went out there, and I know Fluff, nerf barbarian belt or whatever.
The barbarian community was toxic as fuck. The Necro community was great.
Yeah, but all like I would say, just as a blanket generalization, I think the Diablo 3 community, in my experience, was the best that I've ever experienced in any other game I've ever played. And I don't know if D4 will keep that with the new blood and stuff.
I will tell you right now, I feel like I'm starting over. So, on the Diablo 3 Reddit, I would post like a guide or whatever, especially in the Diablo 3 Necromancer Reddit. Like on the Diablo 3 Necromancer Reddit, I was like, like my builds were like almost the whole right tab of like builds, and like people are like, oh, great. Lord Fluffy's posting new stuff for the next season. Like, this is fantastic. And now I'm in the Diablo 4 Necromancer, and no one knows who the fuck I am. And people are like, I remember I posted my Bloodlance guide to it because I was like, oh shit, there's probably like a subreddit for the Necromancer. So I'll post my Bloodlance to it. And like my first comment was like, I already made this build last night, and my build's way better. It's like, bro, I promise you, one, it's fucking not. And two, it's just like, why even post that? I was like, oh my God, here we go again. I have to like start all over.
Same. You got that a little bit. I got that a little bit on in the Diablo 3 Reddit. The Diablo 3, I had some mod one time. So I posted, I made a Crusader speed build for T16 or T13, whatever it was at the time, farming, and it was fabulous, man. I still love the build, and so I put it out there, and like one of the mods pulled it off, and he's like, no self promotion. I'm like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? Riker has 3 on the front page, Bloodshed's got some, like everybody. I was like, so is there like a limit to how famous you have to be before it's okay? And then he like sat there and just talked shit forever. And then eventually like took it personal and said, maybe instead of posting these Reddit things, you should just go worry about your kids and be a good father or something. Oh
my God. Like, the nerve.
What are you even talking about?
Yeah.
Eventually I ended up getting a hold of some other mod, and they're like, yeah, you're fine, dude. Go ahead. Apparently he got in trouble. Who the fuck knows? But it's just like, so yeah, man, it exists, but it is this new wave, with more popularity becomes a wider audience, and you're going to get more assholes with that as well. So,
yeah. Like for other, I don't like, why do videos have to have a person's face in it? Get rid of the face cam. It's like, where the fuck did you come from on the internet? Yeah. Like, it's a build guide. I'm the content creator that made the build guide. Of course, I'm going to show my face. And I'm getting so many comments on YouTube that are like you're such a narcissist for like making a video guide on Diablo 4. Like, just let people play the game how they want. And it's just like, I'm helping the community with builds.
Did I put a gun to your head and make you watch this video? Fuck? Yeah, like that's kind of the thing I don't understand. Is that, there would be so many people like, I like this build more than that build. Like, cool, you're fine to play whatever you want. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, oh my God.
No.
Oh no, don't put that talent point here. Maxwell says you should put it here.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, but they are wrong a lot of times. It's okay. You know what I mean? Like, F me.
People think of Max Roll is like this, like, oh, it's this collaboration of like a bunch of big brain Diablo players, and there's a lot of big brain Diablo players over there. I'm not saying there's not, but it's ultimately like it's a couple guys' opinions. Like, that's the great thing about like sort of like Diablo fans back in the day was a great site because it was just like any Joe Schmo can go post a build and it gets upvoted based on how well it performs. Like that was the great thing about Diablo
or
fans.
how well people like them. You know what I mean?
But now, like all these sites of people
Quinn
are
could post a ZDPS and he'd get
Right.
a million upvotes on Diablo fans. You know what I mean? Is
But-
it Diablo fans?
Yeah.
I just made the correlation to OnlyFans in my head right there for the first
Wow.
time ever.
Diablo
Diablo
fans was around way longer.
No, I know, but like I
Okay.
never
Yeah.
like processed that
Yeah, there it
before.
is.
You know what I mean? I don't
Um,
think I've been to Diablo fans since OnlyFans became a thing.
Right.
So,
The point of this is like now these big sites that people are going to for Diablo
Yeah.
content, they're written by like one guy. Like I think there's 2 writers for the Necromancer for Max Roll. And I mean, they're going to give you opinions and they're okay or whatever, but you know.
yeah, but those guys can't play every build
Right.
all the time, you know, and it's like they can only test so many things, and the more eyes you have, like I said, the more builds you have. Fluff might post a guide, and then somebody else was looking at somebody else's guide, and then think of some weird thing between the two of them that's like they didn't think of. Like that's the whole thing about build guides,
Right.
and what makes it fun, and that's why I think the more diverse the game is, the more skills that are viable, the more options there are. Like when I was playing my Ice Shard Sorceress, there were definitely some changes that I made to it that I'm like, this feels better. This just feels better to play to me. And it's, but Max Roll says you need the talent point here. Well, that's cool. You can run that if you want. I'm not saying you have to, but look, this is why I'm doing this. Look how good this feels. And they're like, oh yeah, that does kind of make sense. I'm like, yeah, fine.
Yeah.
For every
Yeah, it's like one Max Roll writer was like, okay, if you put points into Bloodlance, it doesn't affect the overpower damage. And so you should and he was like, so basically everyone thinks, well, because it doesn't affect overpower damage, like you shouldn't do it. It's just like, no, the base damage goes up if you put points into a skill. It might not affect the overpower damage, but you're only casting Bloodlance. Like you have to cast Bloodlance 5 times to get 1 overpower.
Right.
Like all those other times you're casting, it matters.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
golly, people. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It's a weird time to be in.
And it's okay. And again, not knocking anybody over there. I'm just saying that if you let 2 people or 4 people run the entirety of builds, it's gonna be a lot missed. There are things lurking in the shadows that don't get out there. I don't think the build diversity in Diablo 4 is exactly what I expected either. I kind of expected more. Am I wrong in that expectation? I feel like
I think that there are
as much
like for
choice
me
as I thought there would be.
For me, for Necro, there's at least 5, 6 really good builds, like good builds, and I do still think that there are undiscovered builds, especially for the Necro. For me, someone who's sort of taking a deep dive, I still think there's stat stacking builds that we can make. There's like basic skill builds that we can I still think there's a lot. I
can't talk about this much, but I saw your post in the Discord and asking about the bugs.
The which bug?
The bugs.
Okay.
And the corpses.
Oh yeah. What the fuck?
Yeah. And then
we can talk about that in the Fluff hates.
Okay, so the meme to the response was fucking amazing, dude. That's all I'm gonna say, man.
Yeah.
So
we can talk about it in the Fluff hates.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else do we got?
That's it.
We're
We did
running
it.
on 2.5 hours pod already.
We
right?
did it.
So
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get into the Fluff hates, PChild loves.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have a loves. I was gonna think of something during the pod.
You're supposed to be the love guy.
I know.
You're positive vibes. But
I'm
now I don't know.
I'm
Maybe
vibes.
Maybe
man.
I'm positive vibes now.
Maybe we
Shit.
switch. Did we switch?
I've got two hits.
Or hates. I mean, sorry.
One is the one we talked about. So I posted there's a Discord for like Diablo partners to sort of post feedback and bugs. Which is good because oftentimes, especially somebody like me, I play a fuck ton of Necro. It's like I'm gonna have a whole bunch of shit to say and a whole bunch to discover. So one of the things that I posted, one of the bugs that I reported was, so there's a skill in Diablo 4 right now that's like it's Reap or whatever it's called, but there's one that says once every 4 seconds you generate a corpse when you hit an enemy, is what it says. And there's mobs in the game of Diablo 4 right now. There's swarms. There's little packs of insects. And just like in Diablo 2, when you kill those insects, they don't generate a corpse. Fine. I fucking hate that you did that again. Like that was one of the most annoying things about Diablo 2 is these fucking mobs that didn't generate corpses. But you brought it back. Whatever. That sucks. They don't generate corpses when you kill them, right? So it's a little bug. It doesn't generate a corpse. Sure, if you want to like logistically think about it that way, I guess it doesn't make a ton of sense. They still have a fucking thorax, so it should be a corpse. Whatever. But obviously the effect that says when you hit an enemy, generate a corpse. And so you can swipe on these little insect swarms all you want, and they will never generate a corpse. I'm not talking about on death, but on the hit effect. It doesn't say like when you hit an enemy that's not a little, gnat or not a little fly. It doesn't say anything like that. It just doesn't work. And so there's going to be players that are going to like, why is this skill not working? It must be a bug. Like I'm going to spec out of this. This sucks. I just think that's bad game design. So he replied with like, oh, working as intended. And so then I replied with like a little stare meme from The Office.
The Office. It was funny. Yeah. It was good.
And it wasn't meant to be like, fuck you. It's just like, really?
It was like, yeah, no, I don't think it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, it came off as like, come on, bro. You know what I mean? Like, come on. It was pretty good. Yeah, so you said you got a second one.
Yeah, second one. So the second one is like, I made a decision to not go to ExileCon because one, I wasn't invited, which I don't think I should have been. Like I'm still in that camp because I wasn't streaming for like a fucking year. But two, like I made the decision because I've already traveled. I mean, I feel like I've really absorbed everything I possibly could from New Zealand. I was all over both islands on the motorcycle. I really feel like I tapped those places as a travel destination. So I wasn't thrilled about the idea of going back to Auckland. And furthermore, I didn't want to go to Auckland in the middle of winter because it is currently winter in New Zealand. And it will be currently winter in like Australia and nearby countries as well. So I couldn't really even double down on making it like a really cool trip for something else. So I decided against it. Plus, it's like, it's crazy expensive. It's like an $1,800 plane ticket just to get there. And then the event itself, if they're not even going to pay for that, which is going to be like, what, $400, $500? I don't even know. But now I'm like seeing everyone get all hyped for ExileCon. I'm seeing like, live streams, like Quinn's doing like, IRL streams where he's got like a camera walking around and like hanging out with all the boys that, I met the first time. And it's like, God damn it. Like now I'm like, fuck. I mean, I feel like I should have gone because, yeah, one, they're going to get to play Path of Exile 2, its current version or its latest beta version. And it's just like, damn it. I played that so many times the last time and now it's going to be like even better. And now I can only watch. But the nice part is I get to co-stream it. Like I will be co-streaming all of it starting, Friday at 5 p.m. our time. I'll be co-streaming that shit all weekend and geeking out like a little schoolgirl with chat. And that part's cool. Like, I get experienced it with chat this time, but there is a part of me that's like, fuck, I should have gone.
I'm a little excited for PoE too. Like I genuinely am. Like I really hope. I'm excited for this news. And that's what made me think of it today when I was talking about the pod. I was like, dude, Exile shit's, that PoE shit's this weekend. Let's talk about it. But yeah, it'll be cool. It'll be cool to see what they drop. So I'm with you though. It sucks missing the fun. Yeah. That's a lot of money. That's so an expensive money. That's an expensive trip, dude. Yeah. So I guess on that note, the new meta is going to be at BlizzCon. We think. We're pretty sure.
Yeah. True.
So
that's what PChild loves.
Yeah, that's my loves. We're going to be.
We have current plans.
Fluff and myself currently have plans, unless some unforeseen things happen, that we will be at BlizzCon. I think we're going to try to show up a day extra and maybe stay a little bit longer for some stuff after, and hopefully we can, if there's new meta podcast listeners at the BlizzCons, we can say what up, take a picture or something, so. But no, it should be fun. I'm excited. I don't know my thoughts on this, and I'm sure there'll be lots of podcasts about BlizzCon, but I think they're going to release a new IP. What do they have? What do they have to announce?
Yeah, I mean, they already announced that they're like making that survival game or something.
Well, that's the rumors. We don't know, but I think we could get an announcement of that project. I've heard rumors of a couple different new IPs, and I'm sure that they're constantly throwing stuff around all the time, so it's probably not anything new. but I've heard some rumors of two distinct that are pretty strong candidates. So, but no, I hope so. I hope we get to go to BlizzCon because obviously we'll get some D4 juice, like of whatever the next season's going to be. So in November it'll be like season.
I don't even know. We're already
news,
being
maybe
to the next.
We'll be in 2, right?
Yeah,
So maybe they'll talk about season 3 or some future plans. What else do they have? The next WoW expansion? I mean, Dragonflight just hit.
That's why I'm kind
of less than a year ago. So like, what are they going to talk about? They have to. There's got to be something big, right? It's got to be a new IP.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad we decided on the option that was closer because I was like, man, I kind of forget that BlizzCon it's not really for me as someone that just likes Diablo. Like I really do not care about the other Blizzard games. So
yeah, and someone like me, I like everything, right? So like I want to check it all out, except for Heroes of the Storm because who cares about that? So that's it.
Apparently,
they don't care about Overwatch too. Apparently, Overwatch. I think Overwatch League's dying or dead. I don't know if there were more announcements that came out in the last day or two. But Overwatch 2 or Overwatch League is getting shut down. There were rumors that they were going to buy out each team for like $6 million each. They were going to give the team an option of being bought out for $6 million each or continuing the league. And I think the theory is like everybody's going to be like, we want the $6 million, So they're shutting that down. Let's jump into some questions real quick. Some Twitter questions. The first question, if you guys want to submit questions to the podcast, you can drop them in our Discords. You can tweet at us on X, aka former Twitter, at ThaPChild or at Lord__Fluffy. The first question comes from Moon. He said, do you mind certain builds being completely shafted for a couple seasons?
Yeah, I think that hurts. Like, it's sort of the D3 problem. One of the D3 problems is that sometimes they would never build so hard that it drops off the face of the earth and never gets revisited. And I think that's a big miss. That like all builds should ideally, if you can, a build that exists that's like good and not abusing like mechanics and not an exploit, like it should always exist so that you have that option if you want to play that play style. So I think nerfing something into the ground is not good. But if it's like the sorcerer build, the cold thing, it was based on a bug. So like that deserved to be nerfed. It's just like Myrne in the Bone Storm initial necro build that everyone was playing. That was a bug. And people freaked out when they nerfed it, but it's not a real build.
Speaking of bugs, I feel like D4 has been littered. Like it's been pretty crazy. Like every day I'm seeing like multiple, like check this out. An example is like the what's the seasonal thing called where you can juice up how much gold you get?
Yeah, I forget the dust things, right?
The dust thing, yeah, whatever it's called. I don't remember what it's called. That was like that was increasing the reroll cost. I don't know if you knew that. There's a bug.
Really?
Where if you take out that and then re-roll and then get your price and then put it back in, your price literally goes up by that amount to re-roll. So like take it out before you re-roll, by the way, and then put it back in. I don't know if they fixed it yet. But like that's an example. But it's just constant thing. So yeah, I don't know. Bugs seem kind of nutty. I mean, D3 always had bugs too. There's always some things, but it seems like there's quite a bit in D4. As far as my opinion on that, I think there's always going to be an outlier. There's always going to be a couple builds that are better than others. I think that there needs to be like I think the Diablo 3 team did a really good job of this towards the end of Diablo 3's lifetime. At least they tried, of having a range. Like we want all builds to be able to do 110, and maybe the outliers are doing 130s, 140s. Yeah. And of course with seasonal power now that's like blown out of the water. But like there's a range, right? They tried like, man, this build's only doing 90. Okay, let's just buff it up. I don't think that's the ultimate fix, but yeah, I don't want stuff to be completely unusable. Honestly, I want more of a PoE style where builds are just, there's so many. Like if you go, it's infinite.
Yeah,
Like, it blows my, like, if somebody who doesn't play PoE and you go to look at PoE, it's like, what build do you want to play? Like, there's a list of 50 builds I could go play.
Yeah, and then people look at the skill list and are like, wow, there's like how many skills in Path of Exile? We'll just say like 75. Well, that doesn't even remotely cover it, because like every skill link and every unique can change a build like a million times
like
over.
that's what I want. That's the thing. Like, the thing is if you put enough builds out there, it doesn't really even matter, right? Because you're okay. So Fluff only plays Poison Siphon or whatever the hell you play on PoE every Poison something, right?
Poison something.
Poison Gyre. There
like,
you go.
Literally, it's a poison build, but I do love Venom Gyre.
Yeah, there it is. So let's say one season Venom Gyre kind of sucks. Well, okay, there's probably 50 other poison builds that he could go look at, or at least a couple, you know? So
that's usually what I try to do.
I like poison skills too, honestly. I like dot damage
I love
historically.
Dots.
And when World of Warcraft, I love playing Shadow Priest and Warlock. I'm a dot fan. I think it's fun. So Coda says, do you feel this season is a start in the right direction? Was it more or less than you expected?
What was that again? Sorry.
Coda says, do you feel this season is a start in the right direction? Was it more or less than you expected?
It was. I don't think it was a step in the direction that I wanted. I think it is like temporary power. I do think that this season will probably not roll over. I think that all the content was sort of like a waste of dev time, basically. If like nothing's gonna roll over, the pinnacle boss wasn't even good. But I think that this will give them some padding, some time. Maybe I think that we could see season 1 become better.
I think you're wrong on the padding. I think this ate away the padding.
I think that the padding will be that. Oh, because the season mechanic is so simple that they'll have so much time to work on like balance.
I think that their dev time for the last 6 months has probably been working on this season. And then maybe season 2. Like, obviously they're already working on season 2 and probably 3. But it's like, I think now we're in this cycle where they've already promised a new season every 3 months. Right? I mean, it's not like Diablo 3 where we're like, we should be getting it in 3 months. Right? They were like every 3 months a new season. So they have a hard deadline. And they're already on the clock. So whatever, if they're working on season 3 because season 2's finished, it is what it is. So they have a 3-month dev cycle to pump out whatever season they're going to pump out. They have 3 months to code that shit.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
So I don't know. We'll see. So for me, it was the start in the right direction. So Diablo 4's biggest downfall, in my opinion, and there's a lot of stuff that I feel it could get better, but the one thing that really
chaps your hide.
Killed it for me. What?
Chaps your hide. I was just giving you something to say.
Oh, chaps my hide. Yeah. One thing that chaps my hide is no endgame. The endgame. The amount of endgame or the lack of endgame is crazy to me because there's nothing in there that makes me want to play it. There's no carrot on the stick that's big enough for me to play it, and it doesn't feel fun enough to make me want to play it. So this is a little bit more endgame, even though it's crappy. It's something. So yeah, it's
something.
It's what I expected. It's less than I wanted. I'll say that. Dirtnap says, how do you feel about the associate director saying that taking a break from the game after reaching your goals is okay?
I mean, I think people even on the GGG team have said that, like, it's okay to, like, if you're not feeling the game, like if you're getting burned out, like, walk away. Like, I think that that's good mental advice, period. But yeah, it does maybe, like, people see it in like a negative light because it's coming from someone that's like working on the game. But I don't have a problem with it personally. I think people blow that particular quote way out of proportion. I think it's fine, especially in the current state of the game. I think they're all very well aware that there's just not a lot to do. So, like, yeah, take a fucking break.
Yeah, no doubt. I think I think Diablo 3 set that precedent pretty well for me, especially towards the end. I think it was fun to go back to Diablo 3 every 3 or 4 months for a week or two. I think it was awesome. And then it gave me time to branch out and play other things. Things that I don't like when developers do is the fear of missing out stuff. So they'll have like a limited event weekend where if you want a special item or you want a special reward, you have to play this week. Well, what if I have something coming up? Like an example, next week is my anniversary with my wife. We're planning on a trip. I'm going to be out of town Thursday, Friday, all the way to the next Thursday. Right, we're taking a week.
So you're gonna get to play a new patch.
No, yeah, it's dropping as I'm leaving, right? So I won't get to play till I come back. But like, let's say they did like a week event, like, oh, for this week only, you can get XYZ. Like, okay, that stuff's fun, but at the same time, the fear of missing out thing, I just don't like it. I don't think it's a big item. So taking a break's fine. I would want Diablo 4 in its current state to want to hold me longer than a couple weeks. If a season's 3 months, if I'm getting burned out after a month and a half, okay, that's cool. I can branch out and play the things for a month and a half and come back. So Hex says, if someone has good news and bad news to give to you, which one do you hear first?
Want to hear first, or do I hear first?
What do you want? So like I come up to you. I'm like, Fluff, I got good news and bad news. Which one do you want?
You always go for the bad news first, right?
Yeah, that's what I do too. Yeah. It's always the bad news because then you hope the good news counteracts it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Usually doesn't though. Edgar says, if you play a song trying to get yourself hyped up, what do you play?
Don't Stop Me Now by Queen.
Seriously? That's you're
that's
you're about to go.
Yep.
You're about to go to war. You're getting in the fight. You're gonna go.
Like if I'm trying to get like, am I about to go in a fight? Like
hyped fight. Like
hype is like Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. But hype is like, yeah, I just want to get hyped up. I want to have a good time. I'm here to have fun. I don't think of hype as like, I'm gonna go fuck somebody up.
Okay. Okay, we'll take both then. What's your I'm gonna go fuck somebody up song?
I used to have, God, what was that? You Think I'm a Saxon from the what was that movie? The Knights of the Round Table movie that was like 15, 20 years ago.
With my girl Shannon Sosamon?
I have no idea. I have to IMDb.
She was in my top 5 for years.
IMDb.
All right, so while you're looking that up, I'll say my go F somebody up song is definitely Rage Against the Machine. I don't remember the name of the track title, but it's like he just at the end of it, he's just like screaming "F you, I won't do what you tell me" over and over. But I like pretty much any Rage Against the Machine song. I used to rock them so much. I don't think I've listened to them in years now. But so that'd be that. As for just a hype song, I don't know, man. Anything that's just up tempo,
Yes, King Arthur from 2004.
King Arthur.
There was like a couple Halo tournaments where we were allowed to give a track for us coming out, and it was So You Think I'm a Saxon, or Do You Think I'm a Saxon? It's from that movie. It's pretty good.
I've never heard of that song in my life.
That'll get you hyped up for a fight.
For sure. Okay. Let's see. Bullfrog says if you could punch one celebrity in the face, who would it be?
I mean, lately, I guess Elon Musk, but I think overall,
okay.
I mean, Donald Trump. Like, I don't want to get political.
Listen, I'm not getting political, and it's not even political for me. I just think the reaction from it would be absolutely hysterical, right? That was going to be one of my honorable mentions. Renaming Twitter to X really annoys the piss out of me. Like, I was like, there's no way that's real. And then it actually was like real today. And I'm like, this is the dumbest
it's pretty dumb
shit I've ever seen. Trying to think of a good one, man. What celebrity? I don't know.
Who is just like a weasel, like.
Who seems really annoying from interviews I've seen is the Marvel chick. Is it Brie Larson?
Something like that.
The girl that plays Captain Marvel in all the Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've seen a ton of shit with her, like acting funky. Like, she's on there with Chris Hemsworth and like all the Marvel guys, and she's like saying like really off the wall like feminist stuff to him, and I'm just like, dude, everybody's having fun. Like, what's your deal right now? You know what I mean? So looks like she needs a punch in the face, but couldn't hit a girl. So
she's pretty though, so that's fine.
All right, you got anybody else, or we go on to the next question?
Yeah, I say Quentin Tarantino. I guess like he's every single meeting I see Quentin Tarantino, and he's like, "Ooh, you're just annoying me." Like
I haven't seen stuff with him, and I don't. I know what he looks like, but
Yeah.
I can't think of an interview. All right, man. The last question that we have comes from Flint the D's. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but he says, "What screams I'm lazy about a person?" You see somebody, and you're just like, "Oh, that's a lazy mother effer right there."
I mean, people that are not like their house is a mess. Any type of hoarding, obviously.
Wait, am I a hoarder? You've seen my house.
I mean, you might be borderline. Who knows? That wasn't a dig at you. I didn't even think about that, to be honest.
Damn, dude. I don't think I'm a crazy hoarder, but we do have some stuff.
Mm-hmm. What else? I mean, but I wouldn't know that unless I went to your house. So, like, what in person would make me think someone was lazy?
I say that about somebody's car, but there's two sides of the coin.
It's dirty.
Like, if your car is just filthy, like you have clothes in it and trash and stuff, but like I don't take really good care of my daily driver, my minivan. I don't care about it. My Vet's spotless, right? So I guess I could see if maybe you don't care about your car, then maybe you don't take care of it, and you're not really lazy. You just don't care about the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say a good tip to me is like if I go to like take a ride in your car and you're like picking shit up off the floor and the seat and throwing it in a pile in the back of the car, then I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
all right, you might have some stuff going on in your life right now. So
Yeah. Gosh. I'm trying to think of something in person to be like, wow, you're lazy. I don't know. I'd have to just be like talking to them or something, but I mean, generally, in my experience, like if I meet a pothead, 90% of the time they're pretty lazy. But
yeah, I suppose that's true in my experiences as well. But because that's all they want to do is just smoke weed 24/7.
Smoke weed every day, dude.
Like, bro, I can't wait to get on work to go smoke.
I will. That being said, I always enjoy them as people. We're just talking about laziness here.
Yeah. Okay. That's it, man. That's all we had. If you guys want to submit questions to the podcast, again, join our Discords. I think you have a command for it in chat right now.
Yeah, exclamation point Discord, and I think PChild maybe exclamation point.
Yeah, I don't know. So you can join our Discords. Mine's just discord.gg/ThaPChild, I believe. Mine's ThaPChild everywhere. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. Actually, YouTube is just PChild. That's the funky one. But everything else is ThaPChild. And then you can catch Fluff at twitch.tv.
You're here now.
Discord.
So
yeah. Well, you might be watching on YouTube.
True. We're definitely not watching on any of the other platforms.
Yes. I mean, you're not going to Kick or to fucking whatever.
Well,
I've never even been to Kick. Have you ever been to Kick once? I didn't even been to it once. I haven't even like typed it in. That's interesting. If you guys have been to Kick, then throw it in the comments. If you're watching this on the YouTube, let me know if that's someplace you've actually ever visited.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Easy.
Catch you guys soon. I don't know if we're gonna do POE. We'll talk about if we're gonna do a POE one.
Shut the fuck up. I'll do a POE one solo. I mean, I might as well.
No, I mean, I can tell you if it sucks or if it's good.
We're 100% chat gonna do an ExileCon.
Yeah, we'll probably do one. It'll be next Wednesday if we do it. The only problem is I'm leaving out of town Thursday. Ooh. So I'm gonna try to get all my shit packed up and done. So we'll play it by ear. But if we do, it'll have to be a week from tonight. So
right on.
This is what it is. Catch you guys possibly next week for POE.
Peace out.
Peace.